Yes, we are here. Patterdale Terrier Talk Wednesdays. Live Your Life Dogs. New England Patterdale Terrier Club. Of course, I'm here with my bro Marshall. And Marshall, you got anything you want to say before we introduce our good friend?
I mean, I just think I'm pretty excited to get going and rolling and talking about the stuff we're going to talk about. The next couple of pods have been good. There's been a lot of good people asking questions, and just keep up with the questions that are on topic.
Cool. Yes, today we have Billy Dunphy. How's it going, man? How you feeling?
Doing great. Appreciate y'all having me on here right now.
Appreciate you coming even more.
Thank you. Yeah, that's Mason's Murphy right there, just tearing it up. He's doing his little thing.
Tearing up the pillow you spent your hard work and money on.
Yeah, those are the stuff. We actually, all this little clothes we have, because it's wintertime, anything that we outgrow goes to the dogs, and they usually just, snuggle with it, tear it up, pee on it, and then we just burn it, reuse all the other stuff. So try to keep stuff coming.
Are Patterdales, are they like your first stab at hunting dogs, or what kind of got you into this?
This is my first hunting real kennel setup, no family dogs sleeping inside the house or nothing. But this is definitely the first working dog I ever had.
Yeah, we was actually talking about your setup. It's a nice setup. You did that yourself?
Yeah, built a little desk. Can't really see it, it's got it all cloudy, but this is one, and then there's two, and then we got another one over here with little Winnie pig. I'll show her out in a sec. He's getting a little aggressive because she's in heat, so we just kind of keep them apart right now, But they get along pretty well. But with that heat stuff going, I mean, you can see him over here. Well, you can't. He's humping the pillow.
That's probably the best. We don't need a live tie if we can help it.
Yeah. This has been a long time dream of having some actual working dogs. My buddy's got a ranch in Florida, and they got like 5,000 or 27 square miles of property, which comes out to about 5,000 acres down there. And they used to run like a pit mix with a coon dog. Yeah. And they would have like the mouth and then the scent. And about 20 years ago when I met them at a high school, you just cut the dog loose, kind of like what we do with the Patterdales. You kind of free cast, and then they locate and they catch the hog or the groundhog. And just came infatuated with the groundhog hunting. So I was originally going to get a groundhog or a hog dog, but once I found out I was moving to North Georgia, I came across the breed about, I think, 10 years ago when my kid was born, and then just researched these dogs for like 7 years. I bought all those books and everything and just came like obsessed with the Patterdale Terrier. And there was a video that I can't find anymore, but it was on YouTube. It was a little guy holding a Patterdale, which I think might have been a Yag, and he let it in, and it caught like a 250-pound hog. And I was like, what the hell is that? And then it said Patterdale on it. And then I noticed, was it Alan Scott Bulldogs? They had Patterdales on their website. That was going back, man, years, like 10 years ago. And then I saw Mason's website and started looking at it. And then I finally called him when I was 40. I'll be 44 next year. So I've had the dogs for going on about 4 years, but a lot of reading and all those Brian Nuttall books and stuff like that. But notice a lot of people work their dogs early, but I heard like what they say is like up to a year and a half before you start working them pretty good. But it's just all of opinion. It really doesn't matter who, early or late. So come on.
Definitely a matter of opinion, because there's some people, there's some people that'll risk it and let them go in there at 6, 7, 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
Those people normally though have like a lot of dogs.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. I just wasn't really in the position to do that. And then again, being so green, being like a rookie, kind of doing it and thinking that you're gonna have help, and you're just kind of winging it. So it was kind of like just a lot of trial and error by myself. And then we dig a lot of possums. Up here was a lot of possums. And then we finally got that groundhog, which, as you see, we cut up, we pelt, and we turned it into little patches of fur to sell to the or use it for scent work,
Mm-hmm. That's that's cool.
But I was kind of come up with that purpose of, you know, after we catch stuff, what are you going to do with it? And I fish a lot. So we kind of came up with this scenario years ago of fly fishing and stuff like that, what we could use the fur for. I'm actually talking to a couple of distributors now. And what I'm trying to do is kind of like the alligator tags. You know how they do quota? They basically do like a roundup, you know, possum, raccoon, woodchuck, and all that stuff, which obviously I'm not going to supply a demand of 200 or 300 small game animals, you know, but everyone that was on board, you know, because you got people out in Oklahoma, Buffalo, Georgia, Texas, you know, it could be a pretty interesting thing, but I'm trying to figure out if it's even worthwhile, you know?
Yeah, I gotta learn more about that, because it's crazy to think you just woke up one day and you're like, I could use this groundhog fur like that. So in your first dig, did you just like, were you just hooked at that point and then trying to figure out how can I do more of this?
Actually I was leading up to before I even had the dogs, because the way I was kind of raised is like, if you're going to kill something, you got to eat it, you know? And I'm not eating groundhog or possum or raccoon. I'm going to tell you that right now, you know? But it just kind of turned into like this obsession with these little dogs that, you know, they kill the rats and all that stuff. So I mean, it's fun, but then when you get something and then you throw it away, because, you know, people are going to come after you sooner or later, in my opinion. Once you start posting all these gory pictures of the dogs getting hurt or something, you know, so I kind of want a backup plan saying, hey, this is not what I'm doing for just fun. This is actually a business. You know, this is what we're doing. My dogs are on payroll. We turned it into an LLC. So I'm trying to write off my dog food, vet bills. I mean, we used to ride dirt bikes. I kind of consider it like it's a game. You know, you buy a dirt bike for $6,000, trailer, truck, $10,000. I'm already in close to $10,000 with the dogs, the kennels, the wood, the labor, the fencing, you know, hell, the Bellman and Flint, you know, what those costs, they're like $500.
Oh yeah, I got mine over there too.
Yeah.
Shit, food alone right. After a couple of years food alone after the first year adds up. Never mind, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
These dogs definitely cost. Any dog definitely costs. You know what I mean? So.
But I'm hoping to get out to meet some of these guys. You know, I like, as you know, Mason, a big Mason guy fan. You know, me and him were pretty good buds. I know.
Is that where you Pat from?
Tennessee. He's out in Tennessee.
Yeah.
I met Supa, Biggs. I'd like to get out to meet that guy Timothy Wheatley. He does a lot of tunes out there and stuff. He's pretty.
He's hunting Maryland a lot.
Stuff, yeah, you know. And he was in one of those books too by Roughneck. So I mean, that's pretty interesting.
And when you got your how many dogs you have for Mason again?
I got first one was Murphy. He's going to be 4 this year in September. And then right after that, Mason got me a pick, which is Bella, the female. And then we mated them, and I'll put him up, and I'll bring out that little puppy girl. Okay. And she's going to be a year in May. So kind of did the breeding, and it was a nightmare. I'm going to be honest. Shit everywhere, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like, and then the dogs were fighting, and, you know, my daughter got bit by a dog when she was younger, so she's not really a dog girl anymore, you know?
Yeah.
So that kind of,
I know how it goes with
everything down, you know? It's like I'm the only one that's really obsessed with these dogs and the hunting that we do. And then like up there is some Earth Dog, Running Dog magazines. And then Mason gave me all those magazines on my 40th, which I just went through and just kind of just picked apart, you know?
Earth Dog Running Dog is a really cool magazine. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, if you could definitely describe that for some people. I'm sure some viewers could learn more about that.
It's basically it's an old magazine from David Harcum, and they look like that. That's actually, you said you got lurchers, right? There's some lurchers.
Yeah, that's why I like them, because it's a little combo of both.
Yeah, but he gave me like, it was like 10 years or 12 years. I got like 120 or 144 issues, and it's just about the digging game, what they did in England, which kind of got brought over to America, I think. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm sure it could be corrected, but yeah, the Earth Dog, Running Dog, that's David Harcum. I think he passed away. I think it was last year.
Yeah, I
Thanks.
gotta imagine when they were importing, like, cause like we didn't have red foxes originally in the U.S. Like we had grays, but we didn't have like red. So I gotta imagine with some of those reds coming here, it's when those hounds and those horses and those terriers came here too.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Out here in the city was crazy. As you know, Marshall, I'm in the city out in Massachusetts, and there's actually like foxes. And my cousin, there's like a family of foxes that they're just chilling. Like his area, the people there just leave them and let them live. The foxes just running around in people's backyards and stuff. No one has dogs but him. Obviously he has a Patterdale, but he doesn't just let it run off in someone else's backyard to catch a fox. You know what I mean? So, but
Yeah,
the foxes are just living life, chilling. They're healthy, beautiful, just living in city backyards.
That thing with the game though, it's like I said, Murphy will be 4 years. So was it September of 2021? That's when I picked him up. And I was trying to play the game to where it's like, all right, I need hunting land, you know? That is probably the biggest curse against the hunter with the dogs, is not having the opportunity to actually work the dog in an environment where it needs to be worked.
Yeah.
And I just broke into the chicken farmers up here in the North Georgia area. And
yeah, I was just next to the farmers is the unless you got your own, you know, however many acres just with game on it, then you know you do your thing. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's what I do. I live in the city. I have a backyard, but it's not it's a backyard. You know what I mean? It's not
There's a guy, Keith
yard or something. So we go to farms.
He introduced me into a letter that he wrote. And that letter actually changed the game for me, because once I got that letter, was able to put my name on it and how it was written, like the organic way of pest control and all that. That actually opened the door and actually wound up at a house an hour away from here, because she had 2 groundhogs. And when we went to put the dogs in, I couldn't get to the groundhog because they had the yard was buried in all waste. It was like a garden hose that was in the way. It was, I mean, I posted it on a Facebook page a while back. I think it was on the PTCA, and it was showing. And I went back actually and put traps out and caught those groundhogs. And then that letter opened the door to where it was like, it was huge. Like that was the big step for me. So shout out to Keith for that letter, you know. And then I was able to feel more confident going into talking to other people, saying, "Hey, I got this dog." And then my wife just talked to a local barber, and now we got permission to hunt across the courthouse, which is 5 minutes, and they're loaded. This abandoned house, they got about 10 or 8 groundhogs that we see every season, just covered. So I'm just kind of going for the groundhog, because I think they're kind of the top dog, and they look really good when they're pelted out, you know.
And Biggs was saying that he feels like other people have their own opinion, but for the most part, when I talk to people, the groundhogs, that's like the hardest one, unless you got like a fisher or something. But as far as like going, you know, in the fishers in the trees and stuff like that, of course we heard that they go in the ground too if they find a burrow or something like that, they'll go in there. But yeah, from what I'm hearing, and Marshall could probably speak a lot more on it, but the groundhog is like the hardest thing, you know, as far as damaging your dog and your dog getting it. It's the hardest thing.
I dug it was either 4 or 5 times, and got schooled every time. I would hear my dog, you know, getting nipped and getting engaged, and would dig, and it'd be 2-3 hours digging, and then I would have to leave. My wife would be like, "Hey, we gotta go get our daughter," you know, and I'd be like, "No, we're right here." And it was just the time, you know. That was one. And then the second time was I was with one of the farmers of the properties, and he's like, "Hey, I gotta check on the chicken house," you know, and it was like 7 o'clock, the sun was going down, and I was able to get to the dog, and it was like he came out with like a little nip on the lip, and I was like, "Man, we're so close." So it was like 4 or 5 digs, just unsuccessful. And then I finally found out that Murphy was 16 pounds, which is too big to go to ground. I cut his weight, and once I got him to 14 pounds and 8 ounces, that son of a bitch got a groundhog. No problem. Wiggled in and wiggled out.
Just a pound and a half.
just a pound and a half is all the world, and has to be 14 or under, as in flyweight.
Yeah, I'm hoping my dog, she's about 10 pounds right now, so I'm hoping she doesn't get too much bigger.
Yeah, let me put him away because he's showing the show.
Yeah, he heard you talking about him, and now he's like showing off on that pillow. You gotta be careful. Yeah, too much.
Oh, he's talking about me. Let me.
And then this is the daughter. She's actually tall, like hey.
I think those Earth Dog running dog magazines ended like early 2000s, or like.
Do you know what it was? It was I've been.
Oh yeah, Raven the Patterdale asked that. When did those magazines end?
I want to say 3 years ago.
Really, that soon? Okay, wow. I thought it was like early.
I want to say 2022.
That's awesome.
Pretty quick because, yeah, I thought I was gonna be like subscribing and nah. So we call this one Winnie Pig. This one's gonna be going to Hawaii. She's about 11 pounds right now.
Dog going to Hawaii, is that person planning on kind of having like a real active pet or working them? Or
it's because she was the biggest out of the litter.
Yeah.
And like I'll probably wind up keeping a hold of this one. I mean, like I said, talking to you guys earlier, the Hawaii thing really ain't working out because it's just all this stuff. I gifted all the pups. I ain't here to try to make money on the pups. I'm trying to make money on the fur, the advertisement, maybe a T-shirt sold or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have a good working dog, as you know, they're priceless.
Oh yeah, yeah. I had to kind of bank on my dog a little bit too. I went kind of the pest control route, but more so for ratting, and that kind of helped funded my stuff for a little while too.
Right.
So I understand that. That's really cool that you're able to circle it back into kind of the fly fishing stuff. I grew up in Maryland and Baltimore County, and fly fishing was a pretty huge thing.
Right.
I'm just trying to think that, like, you think you're the first person to do that, or is there do you think some guy in West Virginia that probably snacks and groundhog and tried that?
Well, I'm not the first guy to hunt groundhogs.
Yeah.
But I think I might be the first guy to have a dog to get a groundhog, to skin the groundhog, to turn into little pelts, like I said, for the fishermen.
Yeah.
But I don't know anybody else really that's
I can't think of it. Yeah, I had to think hard about that all day today.
I mean, I know.
I don't know.
People were hunting groundhogs way before me with dogs. A couple of locals up here were telling me that their brothers, which these are older guys, they would go around with like their pit bull, and they would dig out the groundhogs and flush them out, and then let their pit bull take care of them when it got above ground. Yeah. So a lot of the local guys, they wouldn't put the dog in because their dog wouldn't be big enough or small enough to go in. They would just get the dogs, like flood them out, have her put carbon monoxide, whatever it was, to get the groundhog out. And then they had a big bulldog or like a Labrador that would, catch them and, tear them up or something.
Yeah, but that's kind of like a big. I'm sure you guys seen, but that's kind of like a big, well, not big, but I mean, kind of like a little conversation or argument that was going on the PTCA Facebook page. There was a couple people saying that dogs a certain size could get into holes, and someone else was saying no, it has to be this size. But yeah, from what I understand, it's gotta be smaller dogs. A dog that's more than like I mean, we just said it, like you just said it. A pound and a half made a huge difference. So,
I mean, game changer. But I don't think there's anything wrong with a big dog or small dog. I mean, I got people asking me now, can your dogs get beaver? And I'm like, yeah, but not my dogs because they're small.
That's different.
You know?
And I agree with that when I said
so
if you're doing all the earth thing, you're gonna need a smaller dog, of course. Now, if you're going in the cabins or something like that, or a shed, and there's some nice size coons or something in there, then yeah, you might want a bigger dog. Or if you're like, I've been on a farm where we was out there with our dogs, and the guy told us like, look out because there's a beaver around here, and he's about like an 80-pound beaver. I mean, I had one of my pit bulls with me, so I would have just I would have let the pit bull go, which is not a problem.
Right.
But Yeah, for a Patterdale, an 80-pound beaver is kind of different. You know what I mean? So
I mean, the end of the day is kind of think about it like horse racing. Like you see the jockeys and the horse racers, they're not like 6'5" dudes. They're like,
oh no,
what?
they're 5'3".
They're 5'3" consistent. I guess you could like look up the tallest jockey, but I guarantee you, no 6-foot jockey is rocking with those
Bro,
guys.
what's crazy about it is they're 5'3", and because they're riding horses, they're like, some of these dudes are like 90 pounds because they like, at one point it was a thing where what, and you know, with Patterdale Talk, so I don't want to get too much into it, but where like
That's the comparison. Yeah, the
they was
comparison.
like, not like, the riders were like not even eating. They was like making themselves throw up and not even eating because they were trying to stay so light on top of the horse so they could win the race. You know what I mean? So,
But something to consider with the horses, Mason comes from like breeding horses. And that's why I think he's so consistent with the line.
yeah, he knows a little bit about everything when it comes to just animals.
And he had made a good point where everyone knows the age that he is, that he's not hunting or working the dogs, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's got a line of game dogs. So that myth is you breed worker to worker, right? And then you get a game puppy.
Yeah.
But I don't even think it matters, to be honest. Now that could be an opinion, you know, but when he's been breeding dogs for the last 10 years that, you know, haven't gone to ground or anything. I mean, like I said, 4 years ago, I got that dog and it's just bred in him. I didn't really have to do much besides, you know, play with the puppy, hang it out with the puppy, and trap a couple of little things, get the rats going. And then after, 6 months, or actually it was 5 months, he got a mole at like 2 feet, just dug out mole. So all the moles up here, they ain't got a chance. You know?
I think with Patterdale's, I think with any dog, honestly, any breeder dog, when it comes to like game to game, I think that does come into play. Like I seen where you could take even like, you know, I originally come from like the pit bull world where it's like you could find a game dog and breed it to a dog that's just a dog, and you might if you have 8 pups, you might get one, you know what I mean, 1 or 2 or 3 that are game, but bringing a game dog to another game dog, to me, does make like again, if you had eight pups and you had 2 game dogs, you'll probably get about, not all the time, but you know, you might get about 6 game dogs or 5 game dogs where with you breed a game dog to just a regular game dog, you might get maybe 1 or 2. You know what I'm saying? That's just as far as my experience in the pit bull world. You know what I mean? But when Patterdales, I feel like, I mean, same thing with the pit bull is like, even the pit bulls that I've seen people try to take it out of because they've been bred for it, it's still in there as far as like, just like my male pit is not going to go around no other pits. I don't bring my male pit hunting because he'll just snatch a dog. You know what I mean?
Right,
so,
right.
Stuff like, but yeah, I feel like Patterdales is something where it's kind of like the pit where they've been bred for so long for the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then again, there's the people that, like Mason and the people that, you know, we're getting our dogs from are doing it because there's still kennels out there that are not, or people out there that are breeding the Patterdale that are not, and they're not working them, and it shows in their pups. You know what I mean? It shows in their pups.
Well, I think what a lot of people do, because they're really they try to create their own bloodline, is they buy a dog from a breeder that's been doing it for quite some time. And then they go to another breeder that's been doing it for quite some time, and then they breed them. And then they're like, hey, this is the badass dog. I mean, that does work, but I don't know why. Like, I don't know if you guys saw that comment. Once I got John Broadhurst's book, which is 30 years old, there was a guy, Ken James, rest in peace. I think he passed away a few years ago, I found out. He ran Jack Russell's, and he was involved with Teddy Mort's and New Mason and stuff like that. But he was saying with the dogs overseas, they were just too big to go to ground in the States. And that's what they were trying to breed out of them, is the small chested. You know, they wanted small. Well, if they were trying to do that years ago, and we still got big dogs, I was kind of thinking our breeding sucks right now, you know, with, you know, as in everybody kind of coming together and doing their thing. Now, if they're doing barn hunts, then you're going to need a bigger dog because, I mean, shit, out in Oklahoma, I think those coons get up to 20, 30, 40 pounds or something, you know?
Probably here too, honestly. We're up north, so potentially.
And Georgia's got some big ones too. I mean, we got some big stuff out here. I mean, the reason why we got those kennels, they're built like fortresses. They got big old black bears that try to come and get the dogs at night once in a while, you know? And, but it's going to be interesting to see in the next, I would say, 10 years to see, like, with the imports and then the American line of, you know, where the dogs and the sizes are going to be. So that would be kind of neat to see 10 years from now to see if they get smaller or they get above the 14 pounds, you know?
I think with the imports, they'll end up getting above just because, I mean, and me and Marshall spoke about this before, but I think the imports are bigger just because the game that they're hunting in those countries and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So well, I think they will get bigger, but you know,
their totals are close to 300-400 years old. You know, I mean, those guys, you know, Braveheart, you know, Scotland and all them or whatever, Ireland, those foxholes are centuries old. You know, they're big as a bucket. Where the groundhog hole, you guys know, I mean, you're talking 6 inches, you know, 9 inches, you know, some of them.
They also have burrowing rabbits in those parts of Europe, and we don't have cottontails. Can't do that here across the U.S. like whatsoever. Like that's not happening. They just live above ground and move a little bit, but like those large, like burrowing, like European rabbits, they probably make a lot more space for those dogs to be able to move and interact in that area.
Come on here.
Makes sense.
But no, I think I actually did a beagle hunt, and I noticed like those guys that run the beagles compared to the Patterdale guys.
Yeah.
There's like they got a little bit more camaraderie, if I would say, if you know what I mean. Like they're kind of here to help each other in a sense where I kind of feel like.
Are you saying it's a little bit more backstabbing here?
It seems a little more, you know, like, hey, your dog's small and your dog's big, and I really wish everyone would get along, you know. And I think I really think it's going that way, meaning getting along, because I don't really know much need to hate on anybody, you know.
Definitely,
there's a few guys that don't get along, and I mean,
that's actually one of the reasons why me and Marshall wanted to like do this, is where it's like we could all come here, we all love the same dog, learn from each other, you know what I mean? And my big thing with this was to for me to learn more. I talk to people like you, I get everyone's stories, and I learn from everyone, you know what I mean? But here's a safe place where we could all vibe out together. At the end of the day, even if we don't like other things and other aspects of life, there's one thing that we all do love, and that's the Patterdale.
Yeah.
So just go off of that, and but yeah, it's definitely turned into a thing where it's like,
yeah, I think you gotta take your community at face value, like a lot of the times.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was just seeing people when it comes to knowing people, like a lot of the people that you mentioned throughout, I mean, people that are kind of on social media, the names you said before, like. Those are people that I've hunted with, that I know their faces. I know like how they operate, and like there's only so much you're going to be able to tell through scrolling through social media. Like get out in the woods, meet people, like use social media to find people in your area, people that hunt similar to you, and just learn as much as you can from like that climate. And I'm hoping for this pod, people can just talk about their terrain, their space, and they can just use this to reference back if they need to.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's great what you guys are doing. I think it's going to be more of building a friendship between a big group of guys that are digging and hunting above ground with the Patterdale. It wouldn't matter, you know. And I think that's where people get a little mad at, you know, like your dog is too small, your dog is too big. And if you got a Patterdale, it don't matter if it's big or small. And if you guys are, you know, catching small game above ground or underground, I think we're friends.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not us against each other. It's us against the small game and rodents.
Right. You know,
It's us against, you know what I mean? It's us against the small game in the rodents. This is not like this is not the pit bull world not the pit bull world now, but the old pit bull world where it was my dog versus your dog.
Mm-hmm.
It's our dog versus things that are fucking up people's farms, and we're helping them out. You know what I mean?
That's where I kind of wanted to be different, because when I was getting into the dogs, everyone had that same concept of hunting organically. You know, like, hey, I could take care of all these rodents organically, no pest control. The chicken farmers, they spend about $5,000 to $8,000 a year on pest control.
Mm-hmm.
Now I got my dogs in there. He spent about $2,000 because he had to come in, but I cut that bill by 75%.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So you said $8,000 too. You cut $6,000 is a very nice size cut. You know what I mean?
It's huge. And now I got all permission, and that's where I think running the Patterdale, that's where people would want to. But like would say, hey, you can only, if you're gonna buy a puppy, you got to work it. I think we're a dime a dozen. We're more of like a needle in a haystack that's actually gonna buy a dog to go dig the dog out on a Sunday afternoon. That's just so rare to me. I'm starting to realize it's not a common thing.
Yeah, it's not like those weekend warriors. There's maybe a once a year warrior that you could catch up.
Exactly. And then I work. I run my own HVAC business. So once summer hits, it's 15-hour days to where I just have to tell my wife and kids saying, hey, Saturday and Sunday are my digging days. Like, I gotta literally put the phone down to say, this is work too, but this is the fun work I like to do. I don't like
this is my therapy.
Yeah. Well, you gotta, being 43 going on 44, like, I'm just not playing that game where it's like I worked enough, Yeah.
I think Marshall's the youngest in here. I'm
fucking laughing just because I'm expecting soon, so I'm like writing down what you're saying right now, so I can just like stick.
Yeah, and I got 5 kids myself.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. I'm 39. I look a lot younger than I am.
Nice. Well, see, what happened was my daughter, she'll be 11, right?
Yeah.
She was born with a vein of Gallon, which, just cut story short, it was a brain aneurysm, miracle baby, beautiful, 97% completely done, right?
Okay.
I was flying from Palm Beach to New York with Patterdale books. And that's what got me through these brain surgeries. I got so sophisticated. Check this out. I wound up making purse nets. I learned how to weave.
Oh, shit.
So
Anderson had those.
So this is what you put up over the groundhog hole.
Yep.
Rabbit hole, groundhog hole. Yep.
Bolt, and then boom. So I started doing everything, and I'll bring up that name again. I think Keith Thorne Bingham. He was like me to where he had the locator, the shovel, the backpack, the whole gear before he had the dog. And that's what I had. I had the knowledge, I had the nets, the gear, but I didn't have the dog. And finally, when I was in the position where I got from Florida to Georgia, because we moved with my folks, once I got my own house with the 4 acres, it was like game day, go boom, deposit Mason on the phone, like, let's make this happen, And now it's going on 4 years since me and him been in contact with each other, which I can't believe how fast it is. And my daughter's going to be 11. So it's like 4 years of working the dogs and going on 11 years of looking at the dogs,
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mr. Mason's a nice guy. I really like him, and I've only had one interaction with him talking on the phone, but it's when I got my Patterdale and I had his pedigree, and I just hit him up and I was like, I want to learn the bottom side of this pedigree, and he was like, I normally never answer random phone calls by like this, but let's just go with it. So he just helped me learn that whole bottom part of that pedigree, and he really helped me off the rip learn older Mason dogs for that ped. I got really lucky in getting a dog.
Well, there's also was it the Fulfords, the dead game? It's a dead game Patterdales or something like that.
Yeah.
Because of Mason, he'll tell you that. I think it's Todd Fulford, which is the father. He was breeding before Mason.
Yeah. So, Mason's dog Mason. I know his dogs are his bloodline originated from like Nuttall.
Yeah, it's like he got some dogs from Nuttall, and then But I think right now, with how consistent he is, he might have the title of being one of the oldest breeders in America. You know, along with the few others that might still be like underground. You know, you always hear about those underground kennels that
it would probably be him and Roughneck.
No, him, Tony Ravoda, and Todd Fulford.
Yeah, you're right on that, Marshall. Tony.
I think those three names off the rip. I'm just.
Yeah. Well, no, that's I've seen that name mentioned on my pedigree, Tony Ravoda. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Ravodas. You probably got some Ravoda dogs back there.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of referencing back now and looking at some of the older Nuttall dogs that are like in my dog's pedigree, and it goes back pretty far to some Nuttall dogs. And like the furthest back Mason I see here is Mason's Crackers. This is back there. I don't know if you guys have Crackers in your guys' dog's ped. But I have that both sides.
I see the comment popped. That was it. Them guys is going to keep sending us their junk unless. I don't think they're junk from overseas. Absolutely not. But
he's saying unless you see it for yourself, which
might be going to end up with a bigger terrier. Well, their game is just bigger. They're after fox and badger. That's
or if you're importing, you might just want to outcross, and you might just have one like a quarter of that larger dog to have more bone structure and stuff like that towards your line. Like I know people who have done that before of imports, or just like a stronger Patterdale just for the sake of adding bone to what they have.
Right. Yeah, I
don't see any Crocker in my dog's pedigree.
Alan, actually that name sounds familiar because he's in that book I mentioned earlier, Broadhurst. Everything I heard about those Allen dogs, they don't quit. I mean, they're just I've never seen one in person or anything, but I heard their game and they're not quitting,
Is that your preference for what you need for your Patterdales for getting groundhogs? Like, are you preferring a dog that's kind of just like straight in it to win it? Or what?
I kind of like a bay dog, in my opinion. I mean, a lot of people want a dog to latch on. Mason likes a good hard dog, and I like a hard dog too. But he's so hard that he'll be suicidal eventually, and I'd have to keep an eye on him or retire him in probably 3 or 4 years. Bella,
most Patterdale, the good Patterdales that are game and want to go, most of them are suicidal.
Mr. Mason told me when I talked to him the first time, he said, my females kind of bottom out when they get older. My males, sometimes they just get meaner as they get older.
Yeah. No, because if you have a bay dog, but a lot of guys might not like a barking dog, you're going to dig all day. And I learned that from Teddy with her Dachshunds. She digs to her groundhog, removes the Dachshunds, shoots the groundhog with a 22, and moves on to the next hole.
Oh, yeah. I've experienced it firsthand. Like, I've gone out my lurcher of Teddy and seen her dogs. Wow. Yep. I've done probably about a good 5 digs with Teddy. Teddy's awesome.
Heck yeah. And I'm trying to meet her this year.
You should. Honestly, like, as far like it put it into perspective how a baying dog works seeing her. So it's funny that you said that because I was thinking you've probably seen Teddy. But like if you want to see an actual like legit baying dog work, like watch a 5-pound dachshund make a 10, 20-pound groundhog move.
Yeah.
And push out. Like those dogs stay and snap and stay in the smart spot. And like I will say there are some times the baying dog can kind of frustrate me if a groundhog's in a tight spot and the groundhog's feeling comfortable. That's where a Patterdale is going to make him feel pretty uncomfortable. Like in those roots and those root balls and stuff when they can kind of sit there. I've seen her dachshunds kind of swish in and out and try and get them. That's where I've seen that 22. Like I've seen her like crawl on her belly in a hole and buck shots of a 22 at a groundhog.
Right. Well, like my selling point for the farmers is I let them know I don't have any firearm. So we catch the hog, and once we get to them, I got a knife, and we just make it quick, and it's over. I kind of want to use the 22, like the little single shot revolver, which would be great, but it's kind of a selling point when you go on people's property. Are you going to be carrying a gun? No. I just got my dogs and a little mallet.
Yeah. My lurcher would do that for you too. Like my lurcher just hangs out by the exit hole and just waits for someone to pop out and stays out the way from Patterdales. He has no interest in being in the hole and being in the mix. He just cares about running stuff.
I would love a lurcher. I just don't have the land for that guy. You know what I mean? Where like the property. Because right now, dogs get cut loose. I got a lady down there, great friend, neighbor. She already has a deal where the dog goes after the chickens. I'm going to be putting that dog in a bag. So it's like when the dogs get cut loose, it's like panic. It's like, oh shit, fucking dogs. You know? Because we open this up and then outside I'd show you, but it's raining. If we, like my daughter opens it up, the dogs will cut loose. And same thing with my wife's chickens. I don't know how many chickens we've lost already from the dogs, you know, like, and they're good laying egg chickens. And it's like, damn, we got to wait another season. But we had 6, now we're down to 2. So 4 of them got tagged up. But they're chicken killers. We had them broke on chickens. And once they were in the pen, my wife's like, oh, daddy's home. The dogs started jumping up with the chickens all in there. And then the chickens ran, and then it just turned the dogs on. And that was about 2 years ago. And ever since then, chicken killers, straight up. Can't break them.
Yeah, what I do, and one of my main profession is dog trainer. So like, that's how I pay the bills right now. When it comes to a lot of those dogs, sometimes with the terriers and stuff, you just can't trust them independently to make the executive decision to do the right thing.
No,
that's just a given fact. Like let's just
in general.
Yeah.
Well, I use because I go by myself all the time. I use a lead on my dogs too, like a long. I got a little rope that I'll actually let them go in the hole with the locator on, because if they come out and then they decide to go somewhere else, there's a livestock next door. Again, the farmers are like, hey, if your dog is chasing cows, it's not going to work out for the dog. So everyone that I've told, like I get permission, they all told me if that dog goes to bite the horses, the cows, the chickens, the dog is shot. It's over.
Yeah. Stock breaking is important. Stock breaking is a real aspect, and people have to work on. And in general, and like even with my lurcher, like I'll walk through fields of like horses and cows and stuff, and he's pretty broke off of most of those things. But the key thing is that like just having him on game when I correct him in those circumstances, having him realize that like you can't get this, but you can have this, and that helps a lot more with e-collar work than people realize. Too many people try to like, let me get this $20 e-collar and wing it, and like
you just funny. I bought $300 e-collar and never used it. I just was scared to ruin my dog.
I can walk you through that whenever you want to, man. But like,
I was just gonna say, Marshall could definitely help you with that.
Yeah, if the dog has enough drive and the want is there, and you ruin it by just tapping if an e-collar and won't hunt anymore, then that dog never had that much drive to begin with. Like,
I mean, that's a good way to put it. I was more of like ruin it to where it was like if I hit it, it would create more, because I know when the dogs were biting, you know,
kerosene to the fire.
Wow. And all of a sudden it was like, whoa, it's going harder. Like, So I was like, nah.
I use them on my pit bulls, but
I think for the past
they're a lot. They could take a lot more pain, and
but like if the distraction's here, like if the cow's here and you're over and your pat's over here, you gotta get further the hell away and work on that e-collar work. Like it might not work off the rip right next to them, but if you get that 20-30 foot start, most of those dogs are smart enough where they're not gonna like get in the mix. Like I've had my friends get in serious trouble with livestock. I had a friend who had to end up paying plastic surgery for a cow because this Patterdale grabbed the top nose of the cow and would not let go, and was just getting flung until that cow basically started bellowing and quit.
Right. I just want to know how to do the recall, like the people in England, how they have the lurchers, and then they send the ferret in. How does that dog not kill the ferret but kills the rabbit? Like, I just find that amazing.
I'm not. No, let me make this clear. I'm not no expert on it or nothing like that, but I know a big part of it is just getting getting the dog. It's just sense, like the scent. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the dog knows, okay. And from what I understand, it could be a little bit of a fail, but from what I understand, like again, I'm no expert or nothing, but me, just looking up into it a little, and Marshall could probably explain a lot more, is that, it's scent once they once they get close to it. And as far as a ferret, anyone knows ferrets have a very strong scent.
Scent helps with differentiating, but I think the big thing is just like having mutual respect. Like And I'll be honest here, like my one Pat Barry was a feral cat killer, man. Like it was off the rip. Anyone who got it in the backyard got it. And I live near DC, where Latin communities love to just dump cats in their backyards and feed them. Like that was their thing, and I had to get on him about that. But that dog would not touch my mom's cat because that dog did not want to smoke with my mom. He just didn't want it.
It's interesting you say that, because Bella was raised inside the house for a few months to where the cat kind of gave her a couple of taps, you know? She don't even mess with the cat. She goes after the neighbor's cat and will bay it, you know, up the bark, you know? But but then Murphy, that cat's going to be in the mouth, you know? And I know about with that shock collar, what she does is puts deer and then like groundhog. And if the Dachshund goes for that deer scent, she taps it, which is pretty good, which I'll probably learn the next puppy go around, you know? But like right now I'm like, you know what? I missed that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean,
so are you saying, Marshall, by you saying like the dog knows or it might touch this cat and that cat, so the dog basically is saying, or this is what I think is saying, or me, you know what I mean, that the dog understands that your wife's the alpha, and that cat is, even though it's a cat, is part of the family pack.
That dog figured out that everything the light touches is either mine or my mom's. And you better kind of check in and figure out how to work with that. So
the dog realized that everything the cat touches is the alphas in the house stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it like that to a certain extent of just like authority and having that perspective. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't realize at the end of the day, no dog is truly a dumb freak on a leash. Like there are plenty of dogs, there are game dogs, Impressas, Impats, and like those big ass shepherds that can still work and drive and do things and drive. Like there is a brain in there. Like it does work. You just kind of have to learn how to finesse it and work with it. Like I've worked Patterdales in super urban environments off leash on rats, and had the recall and had to come and go and work on things, and they get the system. But the key thing is just like how much work do you want to put in towards the reward? Like if your dog is off leash working groundhogs, it doesn't have to be elite. It just has to be good enough.
Yeah. No, I see when Murphy, we get on the groundhog, it's actually cool, which you guys probably seen before, is once they locate it, that tail start wagging. And then, you know, now I know, all right, let's cut him loose. He ain't going nowhere because he's going to try his best to get in there, you know? And then I know I'm able to cut him loose. But if we're walking around, I don't like it's what they call it, free cast.
Yeah.
I just don't have that opportunity where I'm at, because when my dogs free cast, they come back with some possums. And I posted a video when I came home from dinner and cleaning out the kennel and shit, and the damn dog broke loose. And I was like, he'll be back, you know? And then sure enough, it was like an hour later. I was like, shit. But I heard him thumping in the stump and he was tearing up a possum, you know? And it's like, damn, if you get the dog gets stuck and you ain't there to get him out, it's game over, you know? And it's like all that work, you know, you buy the dog for $1,000, you put the work, dedication, and then now you're out that time, you know, which is a bummer thing, but it does happen. It hasn't happened to me yet, but I don't want it to.
Yeah, when I used to free cast a lot of my Pat, other than like targeting like rats in urban environments, it was like for digging for me, it was like soybean fields, places where I could walk up a hedgerow and free cast them and just keep walking up the hedgerow, knowing the amount of holes I'm working. So that kind of makes it more convenient as far as free casting. But like for me, like for a dog, if they are free casting, I only want them going like a 20, 30 feet from me. Otherwise, like, well, what's the point in having a dog book a half mile from me and going in a hole? I mean, you're having to run a half mile that way.
Well, that's the thing. Like I saw all these videos, like the Bert Gripton guy, who's an old English legend terrier guy over in England. I mean, he's walking around with this Jack Russell that's right next to him. I thought I would be that guy, and I'm not that guy. My dogs are gone the minute except for Bella though. She like, I work on my stuff at night. She totally hangs out, you know. So she's kind of special. But Murphy, he's going hunting by himself. He gets a chance. He just dips out.
Oh yeah, because Jack Russell's. What was you gonna say, Marshall? Go ahead.
I said you probably have also so much cover and so many different wild animals in this space compared to that like perfect green grass walk into that hole. That
Mhm.
space that I probably had. Like
Yeah.
there's probably so many other things your dogs could bump into before you even walk to that spot.
Yeah, like where we're at, we're on top of a mountain, so we got a lot of raccoons and possums, not a lot of groundhogs. There's not much for them to really dig in the rock, you know, or burrow into like a fallen over tree stump, which are several. But just up the road about 10 minutes, you know, that's where you run into all the chicken farms, you know, the pastures, like you said, the hedgerows and stuff like that. But it's so hard. I think when people buy a hunting dog, it's like you got to make sure you got property too, you know.
Yeah, that's my procrastination right now too. Also, is just making sure I have the spots. Like I'm excited.
And that's the main. Yeah, that's the same thing. Like, I mean, we have connections now with like different farms but yeah, there's two things that I'm living. Like again, I'm in the city, so there's two things that help me out. Is that I have connections to farms to go hunt on, and then I have the treadmill. So that's always good to get some energy out of any dog, but the Patterdale is extra good for it because they you know they just packed with energy and they need that extra running and stuff like that. So the treadmill definitely helps me out with that. You know what I mean?
That's going to be my next purchase, one of those treadmills.
Yeah. Or honestly, I would say get a slap mill. I got the treadmill from my cousin for free. Not Keith, my other cousin who got he does boarding and training and got some he got a couple pit bulls and a couple Rottweilers and stuff like that. But and that's actually why the treadmill is so big, because he got it for his Rottweilers. But he ended up getting a slap mill. So he was like, "Cuz this is just taking up room, you could just take it." So you know, of course I'm gonna take it. You know what I mean? It's a $600 treadmill. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it works. But yeah, those days where, like you said, you know, you got there with the kids, and I coach, and my daughter plays one of my daughters plays basketball, and my son plays football and baseball and basketball. So I'm always running around, but I could always come home and, you know, put the dog on the treadmill for a half an hour or something, and that gives her a workout while taking out that extra energy. You know what I mean?
Especially if you guys are up north. I know like where Biggs is at up in Buffalo. I mean, I don't think you're going outside for what, 3-4 months. It's so damn cold up there.
I mean,
I still walk them. I still took her and my male pit bull for like an hour walk earlier. I'm kind, you know, you just throw the window gear on and take a walk. You know what I mean? But
I open my backyard. My dogs can bump bobcats. It's actually a cool little spot I got now.
or coyotes.
Yeah, or like 20 coyotes that roll through.
I've been on the phone with him where there's like, and we said this before in other lives, but you know what it is. There's like, I've been on the phone with him where you could literally hear just a pack.
They'll haze the fence here. They don't even care.
That's the other thing. If the dog gets loose out here, I mean, they're coyote bait, you know? I mean, they're not. You think in our heart, oh, they'll take on the coyote, but they ain't got a chance. You know,
they'll try, but it'll be dinner time for the coyote.
Yeah, especially
they'll try because they're terriers. They'll like. I mean, we said this earlier that they're. I mean, especially the game ones, they're suicidal.
Yeah.
Teddy's dealt with that. Even the ones that are suicidal, like I know of someone who had a Pat who was a coyote, just bum rushed in and grabbed him. Like
or a bear. I remember you.
Oh God,
bears don't play up here, man. They trash everything.
Yeah. Marshall was telling us a story.
I sent you saw the video, right?
You sent me the video of the bear walking off.
After it did it, yeah.
Yeah, his friend was out with his dog, Patterdale, right?
This guy was out of a dachshund who's off of Teddy Moritz's dogs.
Okay, dachshund, and
this rabbit
just came out of nowhere and bit it in half.
Yep, bear chomp.
And walked off.
Yep.
Really?
Very rare encounter. Very, very uncommon.
What was this, 2 weeks ago?
This was in Jersey, like 2 weeks ago.
Damn. I got to give her a call.
Bit the dog in half and walked off.
I got all of her books. She actually got a hold of Mason a few years ago and was downsizing her collection and was like, hey, do you want these books? And he's like, I know someone that will. And that's how me and her got in contact. and I bought all those books off her, like the Fellmore Terrier Club over in England. I think they're still active. That's
Yeah, we played a video of theirs. That was our first.
Really?
Yeah, the first part we were blasting the Fellmoreland Terrier Club videos. But
Yeah.
are you familiar with Brian Plummer then at all?
Oh yeah, I got that book. Was it the Fell Terrier or something like that?
Yeah,
I got the book too. I got a lot of books. I know the one I like the best is the American working one with the 2 Jack Russells on the haystacks. I forget what it's called.
Yeah, that guy
Patrick Burns.
Patrick Burns is in Maryland. Yep. Yep. I ended up procrastinating and not getting the right time as far as like going out to hunt with him. That's one of my regrets, is not getting out with him. But
is he alive, or is he still around? Or
he's still around. He's got like Jack Russell is probably like 6 pounds, like 6'7".
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But,
yeah. It's kind of interesting to find that the people that in America that do some work, they don't have really Patterdales. They got like Dotsons or Russells or the Patterdales. I haven't heard anybody really doing much work with the borders in America. I know borders is a big thing over in England.
Yeah, I was about to ask you about that. So is David Mason? He breeds borders, doesn't he?
He's got David Harcum's working borders. Yes.
So he has like I remember when I first looked at the website, seeing like the War Trace border terriers and looking at that. I've actually hunted over a few border terriers, and I'm assuming basically they were at one point in time were just a line of Patterdale that AKC took and just made a breed, like off the rip, just kind of like their body type and their heads.
Yeah.
But, like, the border terriers I've seen have been very late starters, like super late.
Really?
Yeah. Like there's some that can be really hot and like working, and there's some that are spannable like Pats, but a lot I've seen that have like been like decent year and a half. Okay, you can work, but like for me, I just can't. I mean, I understand being patient, but a year and a half, 2-3-year-old dog wanting it, that's too long for me to sit on it.
Yeah, I mean that's where
see what it does. Yeah,
right.
That's a cool hand at that point.
It's waiting a year and a half. That's why I was like, man, that's when my wife's like, you should have got the dog earlier, and I was like, I wasn't in the position to really hunt the dog earlier, But to wait like 2 years, that's kind of a long time, I think a year, right at that 8-month mark, where it's like, okay, the dog is, getting possum around 8 months, 9 months, already been on the rats, and then by a year going underground, that should be pretty
ideal.
Yeah, in my opinion, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of interesting that you have a whole kennel of dogs that are probably like decently pretty hard, and then you set off the rip, you're like, a bang dog would probably help me out.
Now you said you're
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's kind of it's a lot of people. It's weird though. It's like if you remember, like about 2 years ago, Mason's dogs were not game. The mouth wasn't hard.
Yes,
they're scared of the dark. Well, I mean, I don't know how true that is, but I mean, it's all opinion. But it seems like he's kind of popping up a little bit. Like now, everyone's kind of on the Mason train, as an American line. Which I don't. It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I've heard the consistent thing of a lack of stopping power, like you just said. Like the other stuff, I feel like is probably more so individuals. But I can say on a consistent basis, I've heard the lack of stopping power from like those dogs. But to be fair, we're expecting like heavy duty stopping power from a 12-pound dog, like a 10-pound dog.
Right. No, it's you're right. That's kind of like, well, and then who's judging them? So, and then how much are they really digging and working? Are they from like the hog dog game? Or where it's like they're used to having like a big pit bull just stop a big 150-pound hog, but these dogs are a little fragile. I mean, they're insane, but it's going to be interesting to see, like where these dogs might take off, cause I don't know if Murphy, I'd stud them out or something, but I'm really, like I said, I'm not in the dog game for the money, for like breeding puppies and, having like this Mason line and, doing that. I'm just basically in it for the working dog myself and the game that I catch,
It's a great hobby. I mean, at the end of the day, it's something you can kind of carry on. There's like a crazy amount of heritage that goes past the U.S. I mean, us as Americans, like it's such a young civilization compared to those places in Europe that have so much of that culture behind of the earth. Like we're kind of just on the beginning blocks of it. Like I feel like we're just kind of taking things from there and working on it now. We have our own style. Like I haven't even seen one of those purse nets in a minute until it was from like Mr. Henderson who had it. Like has that purse net ever come in handy for you? The one by your hand?
I got my bag with her. Where is it? Right here.
The red one, yellow one. That little groundhog catching net there. Have you recalled?
Yeah. I got several of them. I keep them so when I go, I just put them over the holes in case they try to bolt on me.
How many have you caught in that?
I got 1, 2.
How many have you caught? Like how many groundhogs have you caught in this? You think would say?
Oh no, none of the groundhogs. My dog got all the groundhogs. I just put them over the holes in case they try to bolt on me. So it's just kind of security being by myself, you know.
No, that's a good backup. No, 100%. That's where a bang dog will probably put one in there. But Patterdales, they want to just grab that chin and try to bring that groundhog back to you.
Yeah. No, I mean, back to like the purse nets and all that stuff. It's just all with the English we're doing with those rabbits, you know, sending in those those little flushing dogs, or as the Patterdale or borders, and then flushing out the rabbits. And then if they go past the net, then the lurchers are taking care of them. You know, so like that. What was
now you said your Patterdale's about 4 or 5 years old?
He'll be 4 September, and then she's a year, right? So 4 and 3, and she'll be a year in May. And my wife's fallen in love with her, so I think I might just send the guy his money back and just go from there.
Okay, does anyone have Mason's Gus in their pedigree? Because this guy, I guess, said is a half border, half Patterdale, which is probably a lot of them realistically. But
Gus?
Yeah,
I just talked to Mason about that dog, and it was funny because that border, if I'm correct, didn't come from working stock. It was just a border bred with the Patterdale and made Gus, and that turned out to be one of the best workers he had or something, one of his favorites.
Yeah, I mean, I could see a good border terrier, like a really good one, like giving a good amount of mouth, because they have such a big, square, strong head on them consistently. Mm-hmm. You find some nice like ones.
Yeah,
I've even had some ones that I've trained that have come from definitely like Amish for sure. That I've able to work on a flirt pole and get on the treadmill and be able to kind of get city rats.
Well, I've been hearing a lot of people that are buying the Patterdales are breeding them with the pit bulls, which obviously is going to be too big. So I think that's why Mason has bred his dogs the way he's done for so long.
And Mason's dogs, not to cut you off when I asked you, thing, because one thing I noticed in the last couple of years is Mason dogs, they got shorter. Like their legs, their legs was longer, you know what I mean, a couple years back or 4 or 5 years back, but their legs have got shorter. Because I mean, even like your dog,
cool. She's 12 pounds. She's small. Like she's short.
Yeah. So she's kind of like mine.
Yeah.
She's
so last time she'll be 10 months, 24 for this month, and she was last time I weighed her, she was 9.5.
Really?
A month ago.
There's a dog that she bred. We called her Little Sam. Actually, I gave that dog to Supa. Forget. She was 8 pounds. She was the smallest out of the litter. Her and the dog I'm talking about were sisters given to an old lady, and I made a mistake by giving 2 Patterdales to an old lady. And they came back because they were fighting each other. So I took them back, and I got her back to condition. And then that little dog Supa has. So I'm really interested to see
what I like Supa dogs.
You know, to see if she's like the smallest, you know. Because that would be an interesting breeding coming up in the future or something like that.
Yeah, I gotta get him to come back out with me. I had a fun night ratting out with Supa one time. I got him to come out, and he brought 2 of his dogs out, and they're gritty and they're fun.
Are you in the same state as him?
So I'm from Maryland. I moved to Massachusetts. Supa's in Brandywine, Maryland.
Okay. Yeah, he drove all the way from there to Georgia to come pick up them dogs. Oh.
Yeah, no, he's serious about his working dogs, and he's got a real cool spot.
He's a big Mason line. It's
part of the reason in Maryland. It's just so much like beautiful wildlife, like tons of like wild birds. You see like going up near his place. That's one of the spots I'll see bald eagles kind of consistently. moving and like going around the waterways. So he probably has a lot of raccoons where he's at, I gotta imagine.
Right. Well, a lot of people that I met when I was telling people that I was catching groundhogs and then skinning them out to sell the fur, they're telling me that I needed to check into the local laws and stuff. And I did, and I didn't find anything wrong.
You won't, yeah.
So it's kind of like the only thing that we're hunting is nuisance. But there's a guy in Florida, Jamie Parks, who breeds the Vessels or something. Those guys, my buddy's actually trying to get a Patterdale to hunt iguanas in South Florida. And I thought that would be fun as hell with those little dogs, you know? They're shooting them off the airboats and the little boats, the iguanas, and then dogs come in, retrieve them. Or they don't catch them on the ground and just, getting them.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if you're out in the other,
that makes sense to me. I mean, I'm just reading this comment. He said Mason dogs actually got bigger when he started crossing it with the boof blood. Looking at the Mason dogs now, it looks like he's gotten his size back to the smaller side like it used to be. Yeah, I mean, crossing that big boof blood, I mean, you'll get a pretty strong dog from that. But that's
the same way I feel. Where I was just saying where his dog, his 4-year-old dog looks a little, a little taller than his other dogs.
Where do you see boof blood in some of your guys? I mean, you probably know them better, but have you seen any of like the boof blood in Mason pedigrees?
I'll have to ask him. I don't even think he ever bred I know he got on that train a while ago with the Robert Booth stuff. And I don't think he said it was like one of the best dog he's ever had, but it was just big. And I don't think he ever bred it. That'd be a good question. I could let you guys know. I mean, I don't think he has Booth in his dogs, but I mean, it could, I mean, like I said, not being in the game kind of early, I wouldn't know the, 10 or 15 years ago, but I know he had a Booth dog and he got rid of it.
Jamie, I'll be excited to see those dogs. Like as always, anything Hunter's has to come out with, I'm with it.
But I've heard Booth's got some great dogs too. I mean, they're just too big to go to ground in the States,
I've seen them before. They're the big 20.
Same thing I heard. They're kind of they're a little big, for going in the ground, but they definitely game.
But if you think about like the question, like going underground, like, do you think the guys that are really going to buy the Patterdale to go dig? That's like, I think once they dig twice, and especially they do it by themselves, you're either an idiot to keep on doing it, or you really love it, or you're not going to do it ever again.
Yeah, you also you're kind of rolling the dice when you buy a Patterdale out of your state because it might be for a totally different state to hunt in.
Right. Like I see Jamie, he's saying that comment, he's got 9-10 pound dogs. That'd be great for, the Georgia, the north, with the groundhog holes.
Be great for where I'm at, where me and Marshall at.
I would love to see like a 9-10 pound Patterdale, rather than a 14 or 12 pound. Because I mean, now you're talking 2 pounds lower than, because this is the smallest one I got, and she's tiny,
Yeah, I saw a nephew off the mail I had that the Biggs had around. His name was Chase, and he has Chase now. I think Chase is like probably about 10, 11 pounds.
And who owns that dog?
Biggs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've hunted with Chase, and Chase is a cool little dog, and he can get wherever he needs to go. And he does the same thing my old Patterdale used to do, is where like he'll target the chin of a groundhog and try to bite really hard at the chin, I guess, so they can't get him back.
Really?
And, my male used to always do that crap. He'd get in and try and bite their chin, and then bite a little bit and try to grab the top of their head.
Mm-hmm.
I would dig to a lot of groundhogs that had like little like half cut jaws, so they'd be biting sideways.
Right. No, I'm excited for this season to pop up. I think, we got another couple of weeks. I would start assuming that these groundhogs are going to start popping out more. It's going to start warming up. So, but you can see like her compared to the other guy's temperament. This is what I would want in a working dog right here. Is temperament, smart. She listens.
My dog Barry was like that. He was such. He knew when the off switch was on and when the on switch was on. Like he was ready to rock when you didn't rock, and he's ready to chill.
Mm-hmm. And then Michigan dogs. Man, that's really cool how you guys can see comments pop up.
Yeah, we set it up like this, but like we might have to do like a campaigning episode where people just like hop on here for 10 minutes and pop their shit before the spring. If people were saying this, that'd be kind of fun.
Definitely. Definitely. Like I said, we could always, bring people in and do things like that, which will make it more fun.
Are there any lines that you would kind of look into getting into that aren't like Mason bred lines, or there's some lines you're looking at that you're thinking of adding to your kennel?
Probably not, because we became some good friends, and I figure with what he's got going on, I don't need to change anything. I just need to know how to keep the line breeding going, when to do the outcross, and he's been talking about doing an outcross. We've been trying to find an outcross, but he is really skeptical on what that outcross is. And
so now I'm indirectly asking a question. Yeah,
it's really cool because he created something for so long. He's just not saying, hey, there's a guy out here and here, let's go get this dog and cross it. He's actually thinking about crossing a border that out of one of his borders, one of his smallest, and going from there. So I told him, I said, that would be great. Would love to work. I'm actually going to release another video, and he mentions that, which I'll probably drop here in a week or so. It's going to be pretty stellar on that. I think everyone's going to probably be on the border and the Mason, after they see it, which might suck because now people are going to buy a lot, but I don't want that to happen because I kind of wanted to keep it small for the guys that are going to work the dog. But I'm not really intrigued on anybody else's dogs right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I like them all, but I just I don't know if it's going to work, or I don't want to change anything that a guy's already been doing for close to 4 decades.
Yeah. If anybody will fix it, and you're in preservation mode is what it sounds like from what you're describing.
Yeah. I think Lincoln, with what I've done and him, I think I just kind of keep the Mason, and I don't need to put my name in front of it, like, Billy's Blood, or keep it Mason, and live the Mason line or something, but he's a great guy. I mean, he's fun to talk to. I try to see him at least a few times a year, talk to him and sit with him and chat. We talk at least 3-4 times a week, just find out what's going on. So, but if there was to be another dog, I would probably and going back to that question, I'd probably get a bigger dog, because it would be bigger hunting, and I would probably want that Alan Cocker line. I know a lot of people say
that brings next question,
but it would be, I'm not going for groundhog with the Alan Cocker. I'm going for some bigger beaver, stuff that's probably 40 pounds or heavier. But I'm not trying to hunt beaver or anything. I just got a lot of questions. A lot of people are like, can you do the beaver? And I'm like, I'm not, I'm just kind of.
That's a slippery slope. I mean, I have one friend who does it, but it's with a baying dog. If it's a smaller baying dog, and any dog he's tried is not a smaller baying dog, either it can end very, very badly, or he's hung in there.
Right.
Like, that's the smaller baying dog that pushes the spots in is what you want to do.
Yeah. And then the booth dog too. I like the booth dog too. I mean, that sounds cool. Robert Booth and Alan Cocker. I think them guys are from England and Ireland. I think I got some Irish family over there as well. I mean, a couple of decades. I know my great grandparents are from Ireland and stuff like that. So it'd be kind of neat to get a import. But like I said, it won't do me no good for groundhogs and the fly tying terriers that we're trying to create, and the small game for possum, raccoon, and fox and all that. But I think they're a little bit bigger. And
there's a question.
Yeah, D asked you a question. D wants to know if you've dug of one of one at all. So one of one, actually, they carry the Cocker line pretty heavily. So you just mentioned that, yeah.
That's you're talking of Kaczynski or Calvin?
Yes. Yep.
No, he's a busy guy. We've messaged back and forth, and I wrote a couple of things on Mason. I think he's going to put it out on the PTCA, but not really. Like I said, I think he's south of me.
Yeah.
And I haven't had much really time to really kind of link up, I would say. But
I think that Georgia road trip.
I mean, I didn't realize how serious he is. I mean, Germany, I think he's been to Germany, England, South Africa. I mean, you're talking everywhere. So I got to see that guy eventually, you know, meet up with him. I told him we need to get dinner and talk some dogs and stuff, but
You got to. Yeah. I mean, you guys are in the same state. You might as well.
I have Nuddle, Vessel, Booth, Mason, Bloodline on my yard.
9 pounds.
9 pounds, 20. Okay.
Chat's
9
picking up.
pounds to 23 out. So she has a 9-pound dog. How old? Huh?
You passed by the man.
What was you gonna say? My fault. What were you gonna say, Marshall?
Yeah, you passed by the Man of Steel thing. I heard about that border Patterdale cross, and I've seen a picture of him. That actually looked like a pretty nice dog. So I like to.
Yeah, I mean, it would be something he would. He mentioned it. I hope he don't get mad. I think he kind of told a couple. I think he saw Calvin, so he told Calvin about a cross, because I know Calvin went to go see him not recently, and talking about the registration and was worried about how that was all going to go. But I think that's all fine. I mean, you still get to register your dog with the PTCA, but to have that little different cross and then stay away from everybody, that's pretty cool too, I think, you know.
Yeah, it's in his yard. I mean, at the end of the day, like it's in his yard. It's the closest thing to him. It's an outcross. Might as well.
That the freaking dog comes from the guy that just passed away that wrote the book or the magazine, David Harcum. So that's some good English hardcore border terrier over there, you know. I know they do some fox digging, a lot of digging over there. Well, yeah. Well, what about if you were to get a Patterdale, are you going Allen or Cocker or Booth or Mason? Or
I kind of just want to get as close back to I can as that cross, and kind of go more towards that Noah blood. If I can stay close to Noah again, that'd be really nice. I'm being patient about it, just because like I'm expecting pretty soon with me and my wife, so I'm trying to just figure out that new part of our life, like having a kid, and then hopefully get back into the Pats. And I'd like to be able to do that a lot. Right now, I just have my lurcher, and if anyone wants to dig, I can just hop in with him and then be handy. So I can just dig, and he can sit an exit hole and help out.
Now, is Noah? That's not Mason, is it? That's like Fulford or Dead Game, ain't it?
Funny you asked. That's why I had the pedigree here, because we were talking about Mason dogs. So Ravota's Noah. So we talked about Tony Ravota. So it's on my pedigree like that. But I think that's been debated a little bit. He is off of Nuttall's. That dog is off of Nuttall's Zed and Nuttall's Jesse. So I guess Noah is pretty close to imports. Okay. I should probably know this off the rip, but I'm just blanking on it. But it's just straight up just Nuttall dogs, and then crazy like it's just almost straight Nuttall and the Noah part of the pedigree. A lot of Nuttall's Rocky, and I think Nuttall's Rocky is in a couple of stuff.
Rocky.
Well, I was talking about the breeding.
Go ahead, Billy.
He said that what he's got now is way better than he had back then, and the reason why he was thinking is because if everyone's going back then trying to get the old stuff, the new stuff doesn't make sense because you're trying to breed for the better. So if I worded that right, it's like, are you trying to, if we have to go back so far, you know, frozen semen, because that's telling us the breeding sucks. But he's telling me, he's like, I think like Tarmac, he's like, that wasn't my best dog. He goes, I think my dogs now are better than the older ones were then. And a
lot of my pedigree.
So it's going to be it'll be neat to see, you know, what kind of pops up. You're going to see a lot of new people in the game, I think, because with this kind of podcast, because you know how you see it back then, about 10 years ago, you'd see a video and you're like, oh, that's funny. And then you look at it a week later and it's got 1 million hits. And you're like, I saw that when it had about 6,000 hits, you know, and now it's got 1 million views. I would be surprised with this podcast in another year or two. There's going to be so many people in the Patterdale game. I mean, from what I hear, Teddy can't even keep her phone ringing from all the calls she's getting from Facebook because her Dachshunds, you know, because she was kind of like exposure.
Yeah, she's a legend, because once you're a legend, you get kind of shown that spot. It's hard to stay away from legendary status. I'm happy I got on the phone Mr. Mason when I could, honestly.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people. I mean, Biggs out in Buffalo, he's got his own line. He's been breeding dogs for quite some time, you know.
Yeah, Big is a beast.
You know, I've been keeping an eye on him for quite some time. He knows that. I was like watching his kennel and stuff. And who else was there? And then one-on-one, they're still at it. I mean, and then there's like Roughneck. I know he died, so I don't know if they're still doing the Roughneck. I mean, he had videos that
Curtis really, said a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything new on Roughneck. And honestly, I mean, last time I tried to check out their website, it wasn't popping up.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So I kind of heard what you said before, that you said Mr. Mason said the Tarmac was like an okay dog. So I kind of want to hear more about that, because I've heard so much of the reverse on social media. Like I can look up on Facebook, Tarmac, like you're like he killed 10 groundhogs at once or something crazy.
I mean, I guess, but he just was saying, like, you know, his older dogs were good dogs, but what he has now, he believes is better and more gamier than what he was breeding because of the way he's been breeding. So
I'd like to hear that.
You know, it's kind of like, you know, like I said, people will buy a dog from this guy, buy a dog from this guy, they breed them, and now, you know, they breed again, and then all of a sudden now they have their own bloodline. And, you know, but it's like, well, where did you start? I used to ask questions on the PTCA a couple of years ago, like, did you guys start with a Mason dog? And it comes back, everyone started with a Mason dog. But now they don't have a Mason dog, or not claiming they have a Mason dog. They're claiming they have the new flavor of the month or whatever it is, you know? So I think back and forth, going back, just stay with something that you know. I'm pretty good at that, you know? If something's working, I don't need to change it. I'll just keep on breeding it. If something doesn't work, maybe think about it, you know? I think he's just a little bit more worried about getting too close to where he's getting to where he's in great health. So I would say another 20 more years, he's going to be on the planet breeding dogs. You know, he'll be 104 years old, still doing his thing. So I think he needs out sooner or later.
Yeah.
You know? But you can see, I mean, they're cool little, you know, but she's chill. Murphy, man, he's just a killing machine, man.
Jamie said that she got the 9-pound dogs to 23. How old is the 9-pound dog? Hopefully she's still on hand.
Jamie?
I would like to see a picture of that dog.
Jamie's got 9-pound dogs. I believe it, and I've seen pictures.
Oh, yeah. I don't deny it. I would just like to know how old it is. I definitely don't deny it though.
And he's headhunter. Okay, yeah. Oh, that's
We're talking. So Jamie Park runs kind of like that Wetzel bloodline. A lot of like those dogs, and he was in Florida too. And you I guess you said you
Wetzel, Booth, and Mason.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually going to be heading down to Florida, and I actually talked to him a few nights ago for the first time, and told him that I would want to come by and just see him on my way back, because I'm going to go run the dogs at my buddy's ranch. There won't be no digging, but I kind of want to, you know, get a couple of coons out there, and they got some armadillos that they need some removal, but they got some other dogs that can handle all that stuff. They don't really know Patterdale, you know.
Do you have Nutria in Georgia?
No, I don't think so. We might maybe South Georgia, but I don't think we have them up here.
Yeah, that's what I want to actually touch base on.
That's like a Louisiana thing, isn't it? Or
yeah, it's Louisiana, and like I really that's I feel like it's like one of the ultimate pests, because I feel like they do so much damage. On top of the damage that groundhogs do, they're a completely invasive species. They came here from the fur trade.
Right.
And like one of the reasons a Hurricane Katrina was so devastating, one of them was that those nutria were really going at the levees as far as making holes in spaces, and that would crash a lot more.
Interesting.
But yeah, no, I mean,
no, I'm planning on trying to meet up with Calvin. I know he's a busy guy, traveling all the time.
Yeah.
See what he's got going on, and he's helped me. Not helped me, but he offered to help on some of the digs when I get stuck. So I know that's in my back pocket, which is kind of comforting, you know, that if I'm out by myself and I can't get the dog out, he's willing to, you know, accept a phone call and come meet me up and help me get the dog out.
Yeah.
So kudos for that. You know, that's a great dog man.
That's a good person to have, for sure.
And And then with the PTCA, I think being in his ownership is a great thing because he's a young man rather than the older man that used to have it. So it's going to grow really big, I hope, with the registration. And then you guys got your thing going with the first chapter out there with the working certs and the stuff like that. So I never had a pedigree dog, or I always had some mutts growing up, little pups. But when you get that certificate, you guys know it's pretty something cool, something that's like, whoa, I got a bloodline, it's neat. So I think people like that too. So, if that PTCA is able to register dogs, I don't see an issue where, it kind of
just having a pedigree, you can go 7 gens back. That's great. Like,
of who?
This is my 7th gen pet. When Curtis was around doing the roughneck kennel stuff, he used to give people pedigrees. Okay. So I was able to kind of trace. You were able to kind of trace pedigrees with him. So I have a 7th gen ped from this dog, and I think like one other dog I got, and that's something I did separate from PTCA. When I actually have a PTCA pedigree paper as well too on my dog, but I don't think it goes back that many gens.
Right.
It's like 4 or 5.
Yeah, because these dogs, I got registered, but before the ownership switched, it was Burns or Robert Burns or whoever owned it, I forget. Man, it was like a scam or something because me and my wife were sending in money, and finally Mason had to call him up and help me out, and then I got my 2 papers on Bella and Murphy before it switched, which was good because we thought it was going to kind of get just obliterated, basically, just left alone. So it's kind of good that someone came in and took over it, out the working class.
Yeah, you need to be able to preserve a lot of that stuff. And like, it's funny, Ronald, you mentioned that like the Roughneck Kennels, that website's down. Like, I tried to pull up their pedigree database because that's such a long time since I looked at that. I didn't even realize it's not even there anymore. But you used to be able to look up most pedigrees on there for pads.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. And from rest in peace when he died. I guess his son was supposed to take it over. I seen a post on Facebook that was like, this happened, that happened, but we're gonna try to keep it going, But I mean, I don't know what happened with that. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I don't know what happened with that, but yeah, Roughneck. That if you go to their website, anything, it's not popping up like it used to. So, I hope they come back and do their thing. But right now, their website or anything, you can't. It's not popping up.
That's kind of insane because they have pretty cool videos. They had some really, and I heard he got a lot of shit though because he would have, I don't know, 3 or 4 dogs on a coon or something, and people discriminated against that or something.
I don't want to disparage someone who's not here, like rest in peace, but like I think some people aren't like a big fan of when you get like the 10 to like 5 to 10 Patterdales on one piece of game in a hole. Yeah. I think for me, that's just utter chaos. Like I don't know if you've ever gone out hunting with people who hunt in that manner, but my first time getting into Patterdales, I met someone who runs 5 to 10 at a time, and it was horrible. 5 to 10 Patterdales at a time plus a little bit. Like it was like Fight Club, and we got this big rack of briars, and I was just yanking Patterdales and throwing them all out of holes, getting them on there. But it was just chaos. I mean, to each his own. That guy wanted to do that and just free cast 5 to 10 Patterdales and hop on game as fast as possible. Mm-hmm. That's him. But
I bought his book. I mean, the Black Dog. I mean, I thought it was helpful. I mean, with like the med gear, little staple gun, all these different stuff. I mean, helpful. Same thing with the guy that passed, the one that you hunted with in Biggs, Henderson, Rich. Exactly. I used to watch some of his YouTube videos.
Pray and dig ones. Yep. So you've seen Sissy. So you probably saw Sissy in some of his videos.
Yeah, I saw he had a 3-dog setup, and that's kind of where I inspired the 3-dog setup here.
This was great. This was just a nice, peaceful, quiet little mountain area of PA. And he had some good spots to dig, but he had some rocky horribleness that he made me experience just so I was ready for it.
Yeah. Let's read let's read this question from another question. If your litter isn't better than your last litter, are you going backwards?
Yeah, that's exactly what Mason's saying. He's basically saying, like, if it's not better, so yeah, that's definitely true in my opinion. If your new litter isn't better than your last litter, you're going backwards. So you got to be breeding better. You know, that's the whole point of breeding the dogs, to be better. You know.
Yeah, but so I think are some people breeding me better, or are some people trying to produce that individual dog consistently? And I feel like there's some people that are like that, and I kind of end up getting stuck on that sometimes. And like I feel like for me, sometimes I always just want to like, I mean, there'll never be another Barry like I had, like that Patterdale male. But like if I can find a line or something like that, it's where they're consistent and they kind of go for that same like Noah dog, maybe I could find something close to it. But I mean.
Right.
To each his own. I think at the end of the day, you should always try to just keep going forwards and not go backwards. But sometimes you gotta take 2 steps backwards and go forwards.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're gonna always have trial and error in what you do, you know. So it kind of goes back and forth. But I mean, like going back to like the David Mason line, it's like he's already had it for so long. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I just need to go work the wheel.
Yeah.
You know. And then right now, like the 2 wheels I got, they're working. You know. I mean, I get woken up about 5 o'clock in the morning. The dogs are going nuts, and I already know what's happening. There's a possum that climbs. So what I do is I put the trash out by the kennel, and usually that attracts wildlife. And then sometimes they wind up underneath the kennel, which is usually the possum. And then I just open up which dog I want. Usually it's her, because she's a little bit smaller to get underneath that little spot. And she get like, I got a possum that is actually in a little on ice right now. I'm gonna be skinning him tomorrow. And that's going to be on the menu, you know, for the fly fishermen as well. So I'll have possum fur in about 2 months after I get it pelted and salted and all that.
You ever feed your dogs game meat?
I have, but can you see a big fan of the Rachel Ray? And I learned that watching YouTube videos through Buckeye Blood, some guy out in Ohio.
Yep.
He did a podcast. I used to listen to it about 6 or 7 years ago, and he said he's a big fan of Rachel Ray. So that's been working. You know, they gain weight. They can lose weight quick with it. But we got frozen chicken livers that I like to do 3 to 4 times a week.
I was just going to say, do you feed raw? Now, I use Rachel Ray. I use the beef.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the same bag you got right there.
Yeah, it's actually, this is the salmon.
Salmon? Okay.
Yeah.
So, you got game, because I actually haven't heard that much about that food. I know of it, but I never heard much about it. I
just know she cooks, or she used to have her little cooking show, and you know she was a healthy young
I did homework on it. It's like it's you know, obviously it's not the best. It's not what you feed your dog, Marshall. But
I mean, all I heard about Rachel Ray is that like one day her dog attacked her. That's all I remember last about her.
I don't know. I thought it was the dog food, but yeah, the dog food's all right. Like doing like I did little homework on that and other dog food. So as far as like, I feed Rachel Ray to the pit bulls. You know, the Patterdale eats raw.
It was funny because when I was with those Beagle guys, they were saying all raw feed, right? Whatever they found, the dead horse, you know, that died local, they would get that, feed it to the whatever, you know. And then I heard these benefits with the dogs eating raw food. Well, Murphy and the girls were eating raw food for about a week because we just happened to say, all right, because once in a while we'll do like a week, but it's a pain in the butt, you know. I'll be honest, the raw feed's a pain in the butt if you ain't got a refrigerator, put it in, so that helps out. Well, the guy goes, well, when you hose out the kennel, if you feed your dog raw feed, it just disappears. It turns into powder.
Yeah.
Well, my wife was freaking hosing out the kennel while I was working. She was like, do you believe we hosed it out and it just turned into powder? And then it clicked. And I was like, that's the benefits of feeding raw feed, you know?
And they eat less.
Less,
like you said, less. And the fact that it turns into dust, but they also shit less too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you know what I mean? It turns into dust, which is great, but they also shit less too, which is also great.
Right. But no, I'm a big fan of the Rachel Ray, just because up in the mountains is kind of, we're not too close to like a Publix or like a big major Kroger or like a pet store. We got a food line, and that's kind of like their top notch. So kind of
I've used the Rachel Ray beef. I've used the the salmon. I've used the they got one that's like high protein.
Yeah,
Like it's called like peak protein or something. Rachel Ray's peak protein or something.
But my brother, he's going to be retiring from the Navy. He'll be in my hometown up here. We're not hometown, up in North Georgia in about a year and a half, retired from the Navy. So that's going to be my right-hand man that's going to be digging with me. And then he's got 2 young men, little boys that are my nephews, and they'll be about 6 and 4, 2 at the time. So little Sebastian, he's big on my dog. So I got my nephew, and I think he's going to be the one to probably take over my thing because he's showing like really big into the outdoor. My younger brother's already big into the games and the dogs and
upcoming dog man.
Yeah. So, but I gotta wait to have that partner. So I just need to trying to get about 10 or 15 hogs this season, and then we'll go from there. So that's kind of my prediction right now. I'm hoping to get 10 or 15 to meet the quota that I already got this one guy looking to get them. So we'll see.
Ronald, when we get one, I'll do a catch and cook video with you. We'll just have like it live on the crock pot the entire time until it's ready.
Did you guys see that video I posted of the pelt where the way I saw it, real flat, right?
Yeah.
I was talking to a tattoo artist. They practice on pigs, dead pigs for tattoos, you know? And the way I could skin it is leave a little bit more of the flesh. And instead of drying it out completely, I could dry it out to where it's almost like skin. And I'm wondering if they're able to tattoo on that for like a practice pelt. And if that's the case, I just got another option to sell to another avenue. Now I could sell to the tattoo guys, little groundhog pelt, which would be a whole, I think the video I showed it. I can send you a picture. And they could use that.
Because what do they use? Pigskin, right?
Pigskin, yeah.
Pigskin.
They use pigskin to practice tattoos, so yeah, I don't see why not.
Man, the dog was shit, man.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw a little arch back.
I started smelling it.
No, I didn't smell it, but I saw that arch back. As soon as I saw the arch back around his face.
He said, I didn't smell it. Of course you didn't smell it. We're on live.
No,
he's in a whole different state.
Damn. But yeah, this setup out here is a 16 by 20 shop. And when we bought the house, I saw it away. That's about 100 feet away from the house. I said, "Oh, there's my kennel." And my wife's like, "No, that's a shop." I said, "Nah, I'm going to cut holes all over the place, and but on this side, I'll have another box add in." And so,
yep.
But no,
you could cut some holes and put some actual kennels where they could go in and out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll have the property here too. So I'm trying to. I figure with you guys' podcast, I think you guys are going to bring a lot of us together for the better.
That's it. And that's the plan, to bring the Patterdale lovers together without the arguments and just have fun hunting.
Yeah. I mean, it's I gotta clean up this shit real quick. Smell it. But they I found a piece of property that's about 20 acres. It's not too much, but I figure if I get something like that, and then be able to invite some people down, we could go from there to where you bring your truck to camp and have a little Patterdale hunt. But I mean, that's so kind of far-fetched right now for me, to where you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars of land and stuff like that. But I know we're in the works of me and my brother getting about 50 to 100 acres here in the next few years, which would probably be, by the time, that'd probably be around my second breeding or third breeding probably. So we'll go from there.
Yeah, you brought up a good point of like just getting that amount of acreage to work. Like for people getting into these Patterdales who are serious about digging, how much acreage do you think you need to have to like keep yourself like busy and not burn out? How many you said?
I got 4.5 acres, and we're loaded awesome.
Yeah, I think it's the acres, but it's also the game on the acres. Because you could have someone with 50 acres and no game. You could have someone with 10 acres and mad game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it depends, like the area you're at, where when it comes, like, you know what I mean? Because I've been to farms where it's huge and there's not as much game on another farm we know that's half the size. But it's just the area where that farm is, where there's just more game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess that varies a lot. I'm just trying to think of like someone getting into pats and they asked like how much acreage would I need to like keep me busy? Like I guess it's such a general thing.
Just 1 acre or even a half acre, because then you could build your tunnels, you know? That's what I dug little tunnel chutes, had a little quick 90 with a trap door, you know, would put stuff in there so they wouldn't get to the game. So you can kind of go from there. But I mean, I got lucky to where I got 4 acres that butts up to about 15 acres of all woods.
Yeah.
So a lot of wildlife gets flushed up to me, you know?
But and it's good that you got the wildlife, because I know people who like my older brother, he's in South Carolina. He got a whole bunch of land, but he doesn't get like that much wildlife.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's just the area he's in, I guess. But yeah, he got a whole bunch of land, you know what I mean? But he doesn't get that much wildlife. Like, I mean, Marshall's in Massachusetts, and he gets 10 times the amount of wildlife.
It's crazy.
Maybe 20, honestly, because my brother never really talks about like too many animals or things in his yards or anything. But Marshall got packs of coyotes in his yard.
Yeah, I guarantee by tomorrow I'm gonna be able to find tons of bobcat tracks all throughout the back of my property.
And that's where I think you're talking bobcats. That's where those bigger dogs would come in use, you know, because I don't see.
I mean, they definitely, because anything like a Patterdale is a snack for a bobcat.
Yeah, you know, you'd want something at least over 20 pounds on something like that. But what's up, Patterdale family? Nice. But if you do have the dog, I would assume. But if you had like a roundup, I would call it, to where you'd have people join in, I'd probably think about 50 acres or more, because if you figure, you know how fast a dog would dip out on you. You know, I know my dog winds up on 136, and that's a good half a mile down the road, and that's, you know, that's easily 20, 30 acres or something, if not more.
Yeah.
You know? So I would say, even if you're trying to do something like a meeting, maybe even 100 would be ideal. But that's where it kind of comes into who got the land, who's got the opportunity. That's why I cut up kennels up in New York. I mean, the opportunity that he's got living up there, I mean, that's going to be hard to beat when guys are coming into the game trying to take over shit, saying, hey, we got this. It's like, you know, if they're breeding dogs and they're able to go out their back door and go dig a hole within, you know, minutes, that's huge.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely, because they can work every day. They can come home from work. They can come home from work and then work their dogs. You know what I mean?
Exactly. They don't got to
without even taking a drive.
I just get lucky to where I got it set up to where we got squirrels. We got a lot of game. You know, we got turkey, deer. I don't want them chasing deer, but actually Murphy, he's friends with the deer. Like, I had it on video. I lost it, where the deer and him were, when they were puppies, they were playing with each other.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want this, you know, I don't want him to be chasing deer. But now it's every time there's a deer, he's like, he just runs off. He's chasing the deer because he wants to go play. But I don't know if that's changed, if he's going to try to grab it or anything. But he really can't catch them anyways. They're too fast. But,
yeah, it's crazy like how versatile pats are, where you can like work them. Like even like me staying before, like I used to live mostly in the city near DC, and there is so much wildlife in the spots. Like I had like a little like townhome I rented. In the back was like a little wood space, and then just like I went to like Rock Creek Park, which is like this really like private like acreage, and I'd see red fox. I would just kind of pace through back by the city where we were at. There were spots where there's lots of, almost every train track area where there's grass had groundhog holes. So that was kind of cool. And there was just like, that's how rats ended up being my mainstay, because there were just so many around me.
Right.
We thought something I could always work my dogs on.
Why not if they're there?
I really like the groundhog, and I don't know why I'm really big on the groundhog, but that's honestly the only thing I'm really trying to hunt.
That's fair.
It's just straight groundhog. I mean, I like the possums. The possums are good for the snake control and all that. There's a lot of benefits, but you can't tell your dog what not to do when he's in a hole, you know. And if there's a possum in there, possum's going to come out, you know. We're going to get that possum. So I like raccoons. They're cool. But I'd rather have the groundhog over the raccoon if I could, you know. But
why is that?
I just having that when I met my buddies in South Florida and they had that ranch, you know, they did all that hog dog stuff, and it's just kind of like instead of having the pit bull to have the hog dog, I got a Patterdale and I have a hog dog, but it's a groundhog.
Yeah,
you know, and that's why I'm kind of like it would be cool to have a bay dog, small enough like Teddy's little Dachshund, throw that dog, dig that dog out to the groundhog, and then I throw in my catch dog, which is the Patterdale. You know, it would be kind of like a scenario of the way we would hunt.
You would test those first nets for sure. Like those dachshunds try their best to make that immediate like bolt with minimal contact. So if they're gonna bolt, they will bolt.
Yeah, you know. So I think I'm basically kind of turning like the hog dogging into like the digging game is where I just like the groundhog, or they call them the whistle pigs or woodchuck. So
they're definitely fun, but like we spoke about earlier, the groundhog could put some damage on your dog.
Complete devastation, you know.
But yeah, it makes sense. It's kind of weird that you say it like that. How it's kind of like almost like hog dogging, but like a mini version that you can kind of have like your rougher like getting their catch dogs. You have like your mini kind of bang dogs, and I guess we can call like Lurcher is almost like a strike dog.
Well, it could be your
running
your catch
Keith
dog.
Griffin.
You
If you look in the in the chat, Keith Griffin, how much does his dog weigh? Whose dog are you talking about?
I think he's talking about the dog that he has in front of him.
She's 12 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah, she's spandable, as you see.
That's such a subjective like way of measuring too, because like some people have like meat hooks, some people have a smaller hand.
I'm a big guy. I'm 6'3". I mean, you know.
I'm about 6'2", so yeah, also got those big hands too. So like,
that's why exactly. That's why they got you got to use a certain type of measure, actual thing that's made to measure that.
I measured her chest, and her chest was 16 inches, like right in here. Murphy was 18. I think that was when I was feeding them twice a day. Because I just measured them about a month ago. So it was 18 inches for the male and 16 inches for the female. So I would want this dog in a male. You know, I would want a 12-pound male.
Yeah.
But I got a 14-pound right now. And the winter that we had, January was brutal. It was, 17 degrees, which you guys are probably laughing because you guys are a little way north of I am. But it got cold here for a good 3 weeks where it's, feed them in the morning, feed them in at night and stuff like that, where normally it's a cup in the morning and maybe a couple of scraps, here and there throughout the week. I know my wife, she's always giving a little here and there, and I'm always putting them on the scale like, hey, you feed them? Like, God dang it, we're about to go hunting, But I found out at 16 pounds, the dog's not going to ground.
Yeah.
Nope. 15, I've heard, people say their dogs, oh, it's so gamey, it'll work in there. You're going to be digging and moving dirt to get the dog in there. But at 14, that dog disappeared on me, and the story was that.
It's crazy that pound. I mean, it's not crazy because it is what it is, and we know that the smaller dog gets in the hole, but 1.5 pounds made such a difference. You know what I mean?
Huge. And then I was overfeeding. I mean, I've done so many things, and it's kind of like the gambler. Like the guy will tell you about his wins, but he don't tell you about the losses. And I can tell you right now, I have more losses in this game than any probably digging guy out there because I'm by myself. I only got 2 girls, my wife and daughter digging with me. And when I do go digging, they don't want to go, so I go by myself. And I've done it so many times to where I know there's a groundhog in there because I could hear the engagement. I got my little stethoscope listening, and, my dog is squealing because he's got lipped up. And then I just can't get to him. I could get right to where I could get him out and rescue him. But that hog is another 2-3 feet down. I've been digging for 2-3 hours. I'm out of water. I mean, I'm gassed. I'm out. I mean, I'm not young anymore. I'm going to be 44 and broke, Yeah.
So, I mean, that's one thing we could probably just give a quick suggestion to everyone in the Patterdale world. If you're going out hunting, try to bring someone with you, another hunter, or just someone who maybe wants to learn, or someone who wants to roll with you and just have fun with you or whatever. But don't go out by yourself. Try to bring a friend, a pal, someone.
Yeah, do that to pick up little skills, because I want to hear anyone who's listening right now is in the chat. Tell me if they know anyone else who uses a stethoscope to hear groundhogs, because Mr. Henderson told me he did that. You just said you did that. So I mean, it's cool. That's another little old skill that people don't know a lot, is being a little quiet. Yeah, being a little quiet and using that and out on the earth. Like, do you use like a Bellman and Flint?
Yeah, yep. I think for her, it's too big. Where is that thing? So right there.
You need the MK2 ferret finder.
I've actually joined the little ferret group over in England, and
be very careful with those. They scam a lot, so be very careful trying to.
That's what I've already been scammed, because I donated money to the PTCA trying to get like membership. This was before the new ownership, so fair. And it was, and I was like, I thought I was being a member, and it was like, I think it was like $100 or something like that, But yeah, they're major scammers. And those guys telling me about the ferret finder, like, you got to be careful where you send your money. So I was like, but I want one, because Teddy told me about it.
Teddy showed me hers, and it is legit. You can follow those little beeps and hums, and it takes you right there. And the little box is like this big, maybe like a little bit smaller. Yeah, like maybe a little bit smaller. Yeah, it's easy and a good size and fit. Like even the Debon ferret finders, like the Debon MK3. Yeah, those little tiny. Little waterproof. It's waterproof too. Little waterproof circle.
Raven says Raven, the Patterdale Terrier, someone uses the stethoscope.
I'm glad people are still doing that. It's cool little skills that kind of have that. And like I've noticed also that like some people moved away from using digging bars, and I feel like a digging bar. A digging bar.
Oh
yeah. I have it in the truck. I haven't used it because again, it's kind of a trial and error. I noticed I'm not going to go dig on a hill, because that dog could be 8+ feet deep. I learned the hard way. I got lucky where I got the dog out, and that was like 6.5 feet.
Yeah.
But these little chicken farms I got, those digs are usually about 3 or 4 feet.
Yeah.
That's perfect for me. It's soil, it's movable, it's clay.
Yeah.
There's much rock or root, because everything was cleared out for those chicken houses to go in. So I found out what to look for and what not to put the dog in. Like, I'm not putting it underneath the house. At the slab. Some people might think, hey, we could there's a groundhog hole, put it under there. Well, if you can't dig to the dog, you're screwed. So
definitely the dog screwed.
Yeah, if you can't get to that spot, like those little stone slab areas and those concrete foundations, like that'll be your demise. It's kind of like real high risk.
Yep, because you're not moving big rocks.
But I think back and forth though. I mean, with the dogs, I think a lot of the different guys that are coming into it, I think it's a good thing. I mean, I noticed there was a lot of chatter back and forth between some people, but I think everybody would probably start working things out, because if no one's really on the same page, it'll be pointless to share information. So it seems like I would rather share all the information I have, so someone wouldn't be in the position that I had to go through by myself, when they could just have a friend or their daughter or their son just say, hey, go back to the truck, get the water so I could drink some water before I pass out. It comes to that simple, But I'm really hoping that there's just more avenues, more people opening the door. Because at that Beagle Club, I got a guy's card for West Virginia. I got permission to go up there to go hunt the dogs. And he's got about 400 or 500 acres. But I met him once. So that's kind of, do I go up there on a whim? And the guy's like, we spoke a few times. But, I mean, I'm getting ready to start traveling and making some videos. And going that route, because again, it's kind of it's not of a sport. It's more of a real big hobby on me, videotape digs. So, but
that's great. Is there any other state you think you want to hunt groundhog in that you could think of?
I want to go up and see buffalo cut up there.
Yeah.
Because it would be a good opinion on what he sees in the Mason dogs too. And how I worked them, and what I'm doing. I think that would be a good trip. And then I don't know anywhere else really. I mean, maybe Tennessee. You know, I think there's a guy out that's got some Mason dogs, but again, if you got a good spot, you're really not sharing it, I would assume.
Yeah, I hate to toot my own horn, but come from Maryland, but I feel like Maryland is one of the Maryland kind of Delaware, like Jersey too area, is one of the best spots for like I feel like general earthwork with Patterdales because you can dig all year long. So like when you're not targeting groundhogs and stuff like that in the spring and summer, you can target fox in the winter and push in with fox a lot consistent.
Yeah, I heard like Pennsylvania's good up there, and I think that's where that guy Rich Lee is from, or something.
The
like
right
that.
spots in PA are work, but there are some spots in Western PA, like I was at, it's too much granite, it's too much stone, and I feel like I run to the issue also here being in Mass, like looking at all these freaking granite and stone.
Yeah, there's a lot. I was just gonna say that there's the same thing we deal with out here. There's a lot of granite, stone, rocks. Your dog wants to go in the dirt, but it's once he gets in there, it's under rocks that you're not moving.
Yeah,
not rocks, really boulders. You know what I mean?
Well, I think
little boulders.
Like my end goal is probably to meet y'all along with all the other terrier men that are digging. And after meeting John Broadhurst, who put out those 2 books, is just gather pictures and information, which will take me, I would say, 3 to 5 years to do. And then since we're all the guys that are kind of taking it over, issue out a book for, hey, this is, because if you look at those books, what's it, Terrier Men and Terrier? It's the same question. Where are you from? How long you had terriers? What you hunting? And it's just a simple thing of getting recognition to each kennel, you know? And along with the terrier man. So
yeah, if we get the privilege of being able to get out with Teddy, that'd be pretty fun. I'll see if I can touch base with my friend who talks to Teddy a lot to see if we can try to get that to happen, because she had some pats too in the past, and like it is a whole different ball game watching those like baying dogs and the lurchers work. Like it's a lot.
And that's another thing we're trying to do here, you know, is bring people together and, you know, meet up and hunt together and different, you know, and like you said, you're doing it by yourself in this state where you're at, but hopefully, you know, there got to be someone out there, if it's just one person, there got to be someone out there that's trying to do what you're doing or got the dogs that you got. Hopefully, you know what I mean? So hopefully this podcast, they can bump into this podcast or to this live and this Patterdale Talk, and you guys, you know, find someone you guys can link up. And that's the main thing we want to do here with this is all link up, and in the future definitely have days where we go to different states and all link up and hunt all together and things like that. You know what I mean? So that's definitely a plan that we hope and, you know, wish to make true as far as
what about
here live.
What is it, August, right? That cut up, or the PTCA is having an event up there?
Yep, in New York. I'll definitely be there. Yeah,
I'm trying to do as much as I can before June. After June, I'm kind of tied up.
Huh?
I'm trying to do as much as I can before June, and after June, I'm kind of tied up for a little
bit. Is this your baby?
Yes, first. Yeah.
You start sleeping right now, man.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah, get your rest.
We had these. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's gonna be a lot different, but it is what it is. You know,
I think
we figure it out.
So,
but yeah.
Raven just asked about digging bars. So, like, the question just popped up after that one is, can you explain how to use a digging bar? So, the reason why a lot of people are intimidated by digging bars is because if you don't know exactly where you're putting a digging bar down, you're very fast, you can poke your Patterdale shoulder blades very easily, or their head, or any other part of their body.
Anything up top, basically.
The idea is that you get a pinpoint with your locator, figure out where they are, go a little bit ahead of your Patterdale, and use your digging bar and go down to give them air. So that is the idea, is if you use your digging bar properly, when they're in that tunnel, you can give them more air so they can breathe, fight, bay, whatever they have to do. And also you can go straight down with your digging bar if you'd like to as well. And it'll help you use to clear up big rocks and chunks. You can hole in a circle as you're taking the backfill out, and it helps you get right to them a little bit easier. But a lot of people, like I said, like it's just not taught really well anymore as far as working a digging bar. I see a lot of people with terriers, like it varies to where either they won't use it at all or they use it. And I think also like sometimes the really good ones can be kind of heavy. So if you are carrying in certain spots, it can just be one extra heavy ass thing to carry.
And you just rather not bring it then, yeah. If it's heavy object.
I mean, if you're in the right spots, you can shovel down and get to your dogs. But like Teddy's the one who showed me how to use her digging bar a lot, and it's crazy how accurate she was to where she could use a digging bar from a dog that's 2 to 3 feet down and work the digging bar slowly, and I can look with my one eye down that little hole and look at the dog working the quarry, like perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where it comes down to hours and months and years of digging, and that's the stuff right there. She's amazing. Once I got a hold of her, it was so surreal because, like I was telling you earlier, how my daughter was born in New York and we were going back and forth for surgeries. I have a book that I forget what it's called. It's like Earth Dog or something, and it's like by Joe and Fritz. Well, she's in the picture. She's in the book.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to where it's like now I have her phone number and I'm talking to her. It's like, it's amazing, I kind of showed her the concept, the fly tying terriers and the fur, and she thought it was a great idea,
Yeah, she uses every part of a groundhog too, and she's also a falconer, so I'm sure a hawk gets a lot of that groundhog.
Yeah, she was telling me the dogs loved it. I mean, she does everything.
Well, she's a legit butcher. I mean, like when we got those 4 to 5 groundhogs with her, I think she was like, I think she told my friend she was like up butchering them till like 11 p.m. and we finished up by like probably 4 p.m.
Right. Yeah. But I think she's 75 or 76 now.
Yep.
Smart whip, just like, she's young again. And I mean, I'm hoping I could be there 30 years from now the same way.
I was just going to say the same thing. All you could do is hope for that. You know what I mean? So.
Still breeding dogs and, the pole, a rod like that, digging bar, they're like, 10 pounds? I mean, they're not light. Then you carry all the other stuff, the bag and the shovel. I mean, I use a post hole digger and a Fisker shovel, little steel shovel. They are my go-tos. But
yeah, I used to use the smaller trenching shovels, the one that had the little the twist and spin thing. You can kind of turn the head of it for trenching. But some of those kind of would crack on me sometimes. Mr. Henderson used to have like a dog bowl he sharpened for like just scraping dirt out, and that actually helped a lot too. Like he just had one that he just cut the edges of the dog bowl, so it was really easy to scoop dirt out in certain spots.
Right. Hell yeah! Now I'm hoping to. Well, my wife, she already told me about that puppy back there. She's like, "Nah, I think we're gonna keep it." I'm like, "Well, I don't want to be buying my own dog off me, because he gave me the deposit. The deal was I gifted the puppies away, because how people are like, "Oh, you're a peddler," and Mason was.
Is the pup? I mean, are you getting good vibes off it? You feel?
Oh yeah, she's already on Blossom and stuff like that. Rat. I mean. And then I was telling my wife, I was like, it'd be neat to, instead of selling puppies, it's selling working dogs that are 2 to 3 years old that already have 4 or 5 digs, with the pictures, and then that gives me the ability to develop a relationship saying, hey, and they wouldn't be cheap. They wouldn't be like, it'd be like a $3,000 dog, by the time it's 2 or 3 years old, I would assume, with the vet bills, because chip and all that stuff. So that's the kind of more route that I would be kind of going down the road with everything. Is kind of not selling a puppy, but selling a working dog that's already 2 years, 3 years, that's already going in the ground and already has a few catches, before it gets passed on to another person. But it's a fun thing. I like these dogs.
Definitely.
So
definitely.
Is there any topic we didn't talk about that you want to talk about, man? That you're thinking of?
Not really. We covered a lot of stuff. We spoke a lot. We've been on here for 2 hours, so yeah.
2 hours already? What time is it?
Yep.
Yeah. Damn. That goes fast.
Having fun.
Yeah.
Like my wife doesn't understand that anybody that talks dogs, it's like I could talk dogs for days and
all
months.
day,
Oh, yeah.
all the
Exactly.
same way. We're all the
Yeah.
same way. Yep.
And
We
I think
definitely
that
talk dogs all day.
exactly because my wife's like, I don't want to talk dogs. I'm like, well, come on, man. The dog weighs 12 pounds. Don't you think that's cool? you know,
Yeah.
you know.
My wife's the same way where I'm just like, I'm watching everything. I'm watching on YouTube. I'm reading this and everything. All you care about is them dogs. You're just doing them dogs, whatever. Yeah.
When I was working in Miami, I know one-on-one, they used to put out some videos about 6-7 years ago on like the dig in and stuff. I used to eat those videos up during lunchtime, man. You know, they had pretty good episodes out there, along with the Roughneck and stuff like that.
Yeah, Roughneck used to have a lot more videos as far as like like you said earlier, as far as hunting and stuff like that.
You said some great early websites before. So you said Hurricane. I don't know if it is on the live before we were talking about it, but you said Hurricane Kennels, which is like a real cool old school kennel in like Sweden, which was like the first real pictures I saw of Patterdales like working. Like you just see pictures of these guys with like these dead foxes on ropes and this tiny little like pocket-sized staffy bull thing, which is a pet. Like
yeah, I've seen some of those pics. Yep.
That, and I don't know if you guys ever seen the Cali Catchers website. That's a
Cali
guy.
Catchers, you said?
Yep.
Okay. Are they still around?
Yeah. He's got Instagram. He posts all the time, but his original website, he has tons of just like random dogs working and doing everything. But he has a little section on his website. It's like a little section for his Patterdale, which I think was worked in Georgia. I think it was the whole episode, like the dog was named like Hammer or something.
Okay.
And he looked a lot like a Mason dog for sure. I don't know where that dog's from, but
I know since I've been looking at the dogs, I've seen like you said, like Prey and Digging, they're gone. Roughneck is gone now. You remember Monk Kennels?
Yep.
I think he's kind of out the picture. And then the J&J, I think he's still around in Michigan or something. I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing. People pop up and then they just disappear. You know, I mean, so.
Yeah, Weapon X, one of those in North Carolina. I think it was like South Carolina Weapon X kennels.
Weapon X, yeah.
Weapon X. Two of those Weapon X dogs. They were big. Yeah, I saw those dogs. They were nice, but the ones I saw, and I remember on his website, he had a dog that he bred that was just like straight up like aggressive. Like that dog was like.
And you said that dog was big.
It was big, and it was one to hit other dogs, like no other. So I don't understand why he necessarily bred that dog. I don't think dog aggression really should be any kind of personal preference whatsoever when it comes to these pets. I think you kind of like avoid it at all costs if you can.
At this point, dog aggression in any breed or type, is uncalled for because it's not, you know what I mean? It's not uncalled for, and it's illegal. So if you do it, you're pretty much gonna get in trouble. You know what I mean? But
well, like, see how close these guys are. I mean, if they were all aggressive, it would suck.
Yeah,
they would just be barking all night, trying to get each other's throats. I mean,
all night.
You're not going to work with anything like that. You know what I mean?
You're also not going to make friends either.
What's that?
You're also not going to be able to make friends. It's going to be hard making friends with other people with dogs when you put one on the ground. Just attack his dog. That's your first impression.
Exactly.
You got to look at some guy you first met and be like, sorry.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry, my dog ripped your ear off, or something.
Yeah. I didn't do one.
I mean, hey, just send me the vet bill and I'll be glad to, that's an IOU though, And,
I'll be glad to purchase you a new ear.
Right. But no, it's gonna be fun, I think, this year because now I literally have the permission to really hunt the dogs.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing in the game. I think people need to understand is you could buy a surfboard, but if you live in the mountains, you ain't surfing.
Yep.
I surf in Florida, so it's like, it's like, what did you do with your surfboards? So like, I sold them. I don't really have an intentions going back. If I do, I could get one or rent one, but kind of the same thing I told you guys earlier, I think, with the deer rifle. If you have a deer rifle, long range rifle, you can't shoot it. You gotta. So that's the hardest part with the game. I think it's just finding the opportunity to actually go catch the game. You know, buying the dog is easy. Training the dog is easy. Digging the dog is easy. It's strenuous because they're going to do it anyways. But to get the permission to try to do all that, by far the hardest I've ever had to deal with in my life. I was like, I got all these dogs. This was about a year ago. Like last year, I was like, I got these dogs and no one wants me to hunt their groundhog. I thought it was bizarre because they were like, oh, we just shoot them with the gun. I'm like, I'll take care of it. I'll do it. Oh, well, we just shoot them anyways. I'm like, all right. Finally, one guy saw it. I had a good video of it. He's like, oh, that's cool. Come back out. My kid likes that. And sure enough, that's how it started, along with that good letter from Keith. And I kind of posted that on some farm groups in Georgia. Mm-hmm. And now it's a business, you know. Now everyone knows, oh, that's Billy who's catching hogs and he's skinning them, and, you know, he's got fur. So if you want fur, come to me. So that's kind of like the little word of mouth. Hopefully it takes off. And, you know, I got a lot of more opportunities. And then along bringing you guys along or something, like saying, hey, I got 10 hogs that I looked at. Bring the kids down. We're going to camp out. We're going to dig dogs for a whole weekend, and let's bag them. Mm-hmm. You know, that's where I'm kind of trying to get the Patterdale guys to be like, hey, if you're free, drive up. Let's go dig the dogs out for 3-4 days. And then, you know, high five and call it a day. Go back to work, you know. So, but I think a lot of people are jealous. Sometimes they get jealous of, you know, their dogs.
Definitely.
You know, and I think you guys are going to change that. I think with people kind of coming on the show, you know, as I call it, you know, the dog show, they're going to be open up. They're going to be more talkative. People are going to start saying, well, hey, it's like, you know, how you go to school. If you're the dickhead, you're not getting invited to the keg party, you know, because you can't be Frank here, you know, picking fights with everybody, mm-hmm. You know, because you want to get a girl at the end of the night, you know, get a number or something. So, mm-hmm. But yeah, it's going to be fun. I can't wait to go digging, though. I mean, it's been raining for the last 2.5 days now, going tomorrow. So I think this weekend will be really good to dig because it's going to be really, really soft.
Oh yeah, I'm
that's good. Go ahead, Marshall.
I'm actually pretty pumped getting out with like if you're on your cousin, man, as far as just like going out and digging and figuring out the space before I get really busy. So that's my priority, is kind of trying to hit the ground running in my area, find all my spots, and then just stay busy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we're all on the same page. We're all getting our dogs ready, you know, for this spring. And, you know, we're going to have fun with it. This in the future, we definitely going to do some things where we all get together and, you know what I mean? Link up and try to go state to state with it and have some hunting parties and, you know, things like that.
Yeah, so, I mean, I know there's some people out in, New Mexico, Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. You guys are up north. How far are you guys from New York?
About 4 hours.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm like 17 or something like that. So that's far. But, I mean, I leave on a Thursday. I'm in the ground on a Friday morning or something. And then, you know, getting back on a Monday. That's realistic talk for me now. You know?
Yeah. We could actually, you know, try to do something like that, you know, with Biggs, where he's about 6 hours from us. So it's not too much of a difference. But I mean, that's definitely something that we're gonna work on, and me and Marshall spoke about it before, is getting groups together to hunt together and have fun, and just, you know, again, like we said, it's us versus the small game and the rodents. It's not us versus each other. You know what I mean? So
no, it's well put too. I mean, that's exactly. Hopefully they hear that at the end. You know, it's kind of us against the game rather than us against each other.
Exactly.
So it's going to be interesting.
No need for the extra arguments and things like that. But I mean, you know, it's going to happen. We're all men. We're all human at the most part, because women argue more than men. But that's a whole different story. But yeah. Yeah, we're all men. So, you know, everyone's going to have their own opinion. But just because you got your own opinion doesn't mean it got to be an argument or anything feisty, or, you know what I mean, where to the point where you're.
Well, I'm hoping that other people get inspired by, you know, turning it into more of like a business, because if we're hunting like rats, and groundhogs for these people, you know, I think I found it's not a loophole, I don't think, but it's like I got a LLC, so now dog food is a write-off, you know, vet bills write-off. I don't know if it's not gonna create money, you know, it's gonna be more of a loss. But then again, I mean, if I go on a hunting trip, gas is a write-off, you know, even if I buy a gun or a fishing pole at this point, to anything that's going to be related to the fur trade is going to be, it looks like a write-off. And that's kind of like what I want to do is, you know, run a couple of businesses to have tax write-offs and have fun doing it while I'm doing it, you know?
Oh, so, if you come down and we can get down,
Yeah,
if you can come down and you get down the Maryland, DC area, I can definitely show you some ratting stuff where it'd be a lot of write-offs. Like, that can be pretty damn busy, and that's pretty crazy. I think the most, I probably said this before in the podcast, but the most rats I've gotten with 2 Patterdales in a night within like an hour was 60 in part of the cities we go ratting in.
Right. Yeah, I know New York is big up there too. I mean, I watched them videos on YouTube. I mean, that's pretty wild. They had a little Patterdale too. I think it was forget the guys. They go down the city and I mean they tear them up.
Yep, that's what I do. I did a lot of city ratting.
Did you?
Yeah, I've done a ton of it. Like like I said, I used to pay my bills. I used to work at the business improvement district, and my Patterdale would locate rats through hotel walls.
Really?
And that was how I got paid. That's kind of my way of getting money from it.
Awesome. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm about to say that's definitely awesome. Back up, man. That's definitely definitely cool. To definitely and to make income off it too. Something
yeah,
you love
rather
doing.
than like selling puppies or something, it's more of we got the fur, you know, and kind of go there.
No, I'm saying as far as Marshall, you know, with the
the rats and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. To make income off it and still, you know, working your dogs and ratting and still working your dogs in a way. So, you know
like,
what I mean?
Out too, like when you catch the groundhog or even like the raccoon or possum in the spring, that's not the coat you want because that's the summer coat. So it's real patchy, you know, it's like they shed their fur. So that hog I got, that groundhog was caught in November. So it had this like it's kind of winter buildup, you know, real nice fur. So now I know it's like the ones that we're catching in the summer are not going to be good for skinning and pelting out, you know. I mean, it's good practice, but I need the ones that are going to be in the winter. And that's just where it's more of trial and error and stuff like that, you know, kind of learning that the hard way, you know, because it's like you don't know until you do it.
Do you think you can make like a good like dog tug out of the groundhog fur?
Oh yeah, that one I have, yeah. Oh, for sure. You know,
that'd be cool. Like something like a spring pole or something like that, like a flirt pole. I think he's kind of hanging from one.
Yeah, I kind of there's a lot of different little ways, you know, I was thinking about doing it, but instead of getting too far ahead of myself, you know, I figure let's start getting some more hogs in the bag, you know, and stuff, you know, the menu rather than talk about it, you know.
Yeah.
That's where, I mean, I could talk all day, but, you know, at the end of the day, you kind of got to go do what you say, you know.
Yeah.
So, and again, when people start digging, I guarantee you that most people, once they do a good 5-foot dig, they're not going to want to dig again, you know, especially if they have a bond with the dog, you know?
Yep. I've seen,
that's what Mr. Henderson put me through. I mean, he just put me through hell digging some of those spots just to see if I would crack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've seen, I got 2 friends and they went out and, one, it was their first time going out. The other one been out, you know, plenty of times. But this time they went out and got hit up by a porcupine. You know, tried to grab up a porcupine, got hit up, had quills all in his face. And the other guy that came out with him never been out since.
Oh, really? See,
it was his first day out. And you know, he seen the other guy's dog get hit with a porcupine, and he hasn't been out since.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of porcupines up by here and skunks.
I don't think we have them in Georgia. I have to find out. I have to Google that. I don't think we got.
That's really a good thing for you, for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, definitely. They both suck. There's skunks all up and down in the summer. I see skunks all up and down in my block.
It's like that cool kind of wet fall weather we have here. I think that's what the skunks kind of enjoy.
Right.
Skunks are the fucking worst. I had a couple pit bulls that grabbed up skunks. I mean, it's dogs. I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys know.
Henry, my lurcher grabbed the skunk up, and when he grabbed it coming out the hole,
they stink forever, bro.
He bit it in the midsection to where like the spray just came out as like a gel. It was really weird. Like,
okay, no, yeah.
But it's so good in the middle that it just all came out as like a big gel puddle. Like it sat there. It still smelled horrible, but it was all on the ground there. It was weird.
But it wasn't on him, yeah.
It wasn't.
I had a couple dogs just snatched up, got sprayed right in the face, sprayed, and it's just Mm-hmm. That's porcupines and skunks definitely they just suck. It is what it is.
I had a dog who got Lyme. I had to take it to one of the emergency vets because my vet wasn't open. And I saw 3 dogs just covered in porcupine quills getting them yanked out of their face there.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen it. That shit is the worst. What was you going to say? My fault.
No, I think I saw that on Roughneck's videos. I think his wife with the dog in the truck going to the vet or something and just covered in just quills and stuff, man. Like, ugh. But I think he was based out of Oklahoma, if I'm not right, or if I might be right.
I think you're correct. I'm pretty sure he was out of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
He used to have some pretty cool
painful shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's some painful shit for them dogs. A lot of shit, maybe not, but them quills in your face, cheeks and gums, and right next to your eye and all this other shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's real consolation prizes you can get from Earthwork, like those freaking skunk spray. Like that skunk spray is the worst, especially underground. It can really actually kill your little dog pretty easily.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what Teddy was telling me. She's like, wait till you run across a skunk. She's like, you're gonna need to get that dog out quick.
Yeah, that's why that digging bar is important. That digging bar will also save your dog's life from a skunk because it gives it more oxygen faster.
I was about to say, yeah, but less more oxygen, and like you were saying before, because I heard a couple. But I have spoken to a couple people where they lost their dogs just because their dogs was underground and the skunk smell killed them. You know what I mean? Just too strong underground.
Too small and closed in space. It's not the spray. It's too small and closed in space. They have to basically end up hotboxing a skunk and die.
Yeah.
That's nasty. Yeah, just my dog was shitting here, and that's just enough to put me out.
Yeah, you've been a trooper through that.
Yeah, I just cleaned up through the trash back there. I was like, dang it, man. Like, good God. But no, this has been a long time dream of mine, and it's kind of, I would say the word would be manifest, kind of like what I created with the kennel and the dogs and stuff. So I think I'm trying to be around for quite some time. I think the only thing that's going to really hold it up is let my knees go bad or back goes out, But hopefully someone comes along and wants to go digging with me. But again, it's been 3 years of digging by myself and only wife and daughter at the time.
Hopefully this live and what we're doing here again. I know I said this before, but hopefully this brings some people together and you find some people in your area.
Yeah.
Or your daughter becomes more of a badass.
What's that?
Or your daughter just becomes more of a badass in a couple years and starts digging her own.
Man, she's kind of doing her thing, and I raised her to be a freaking savage because this generation that we're growing up with, I'm telling you right now, you're gonna want to do this for your kid. Just teach them to be a motherfucking savage because they're gonna be able to run over the generation that's coming up, and then they're gonna be able to take what's there, especially if they're gonna do business and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I see the kids now. That's what she goes to school with, and even like the boys now, wearing like just sandals and shit, just real feminine, man. Just not cool. So she knows. I'm like, when you start dating, when you're about 58, make sure, you're bringing home some man quality like your father,
Oh yeah.
But we'll talk about that when you're 60 and 50 when she's dating. So
I mean, the advantage of being involved with Patterdales is that me and you both know how to dig a hole really fast. So if someone fucks up, there you go.
Yeah, that's the other thing, you know. I mean, you know, that's the truth, you know. And I'm the kind of friend where you call me is like, hey, I'll bring the pick back and I got a shovel, you know.
Yeah.
Or we'll pour one out for that dumbass, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but no, she used to love it, but now she's getting a little older and she doesn't like, you know, hanging out in the field digging out dirt, you know. She used to love it though, but she'll be 11 now, so she kind of grew out of it about 2 years ago.
Bring her to DC for the ratting stuff. That would crack her up. Everything happened so fast.
I think she would like that, you know, being like in the concrete or something like that, and instead of being out in the woods, you know, like walking around like the cities. She would probably love that, you know, because she was born in Manhattan. We were going back and forth, you know, since she was day of birth and all that stuff. So she likes all that, you know.
And we can have a blast of that. Raven Patterdale, it is good that you're going to be there. I'm excited to see you there, and I'm excited to see Raven for you to have Raven there, man. Hear more about her. Like, such a cool little dog you got.
Yeah, definitely cool. And there's There's one in There's one in New York, Buffalo. I mean, that was so okay. That's the Buffalo. That's the New York event. There's one in what, Ohio?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, PTCA got a couple of events going on this summer. If you're in the area, make it. I'll definitely be at the New York event, and all those events should be a good time.
I'm trying to make that one because I like because I figure if I could get up to Buffalo, which is 17 hours from me, and go hunt with them guys out there, that would be a good checklist for the Patterdale game, on my opinion. Being, you know, they're doing their thing, I'm doing my thing. Go see what they got going. They can see what I got going, and then back to Georgia, link up with Calvin, you know, go digging with him, and then I think that guy Tim Wheatley, I would like to link up with him. I think he said he was out in Mexico. So
he lived in Maryland for a while too. So he used to live in Maryland, and me and him had some pretty fun ass hunts in Maryland. Like just the most fun, man. Like such cool legit spots throughout like Maryland and Delaware that we hit. Right. That was just so much fun. We had this one spot that these kids built up in this parkland that was all like dirt bike mounds and jumps, and like groundhogs would make holes in them, and then like raccoons would just live in these freaking jumps. It was crazy.
That's where I kind of want to change it up instead of being so like digging game all the time. That's why I'm going to go to South Florida, my hometown, and go just run them above ground, you know, because they got a lot of wild hogs out there. Don't want them on wild hog, but I want them on the little wild little piggies, you know.
Piglets,
yeah. I think that would be really, really fun.
That'd be cool.
Along, banging up them coons and stuff like that, and the possum.
I mean, that's still dangerous though, because normally when you run into those, the mother's gonna come back for some.
We'll learn more about that because with Jamie Parks on here, and Jamie, if you're still listening, man, we gotta get you on here so we can hear more about Florida and just what working Pats are like in there. Because
why not? Definitely, why not?
Yeah,
that would be. I think he was telling me he was in Tampa, so that's a little north. I'm from like south, like I'm an hour north of Miami and stuff. But I think with the Patterdales, my buddies, they're seeing what I'm doing. Now they want them, and like I said earlier, they want them for the iguanas, and that would be fun as hell. I mean, big ass iguanas. You're going into the condos and all that on the beach, and just taking out these 5-6 foot iguanas.
But also, could you dig to an iguana?
They're not burrowing.
They're up in the trees and just on the grass everywhere.
On the grass. Yeah,
I thought they burrow too a little bit for their eggs.
They do, but like that's around hunting season. But it's so infested that they're just everywhere, bro.
Everywhere.
Like there's like even if it's like breeding season for them where they're doing it, where they are burrowing in and doing all that. There's so many of them that even if there's 100, even if there's 50,000 of them borough, and there's still 50,000 that are not. Like, it's oversaturated out
Actually,
there.
I'm gonna
It's
wind up bringing
ridiculous.
dogs down there for that. I'm gonna try to do that myself.
Yeah, it's they're everywhere. Same thing if you go to, like, there's a lot of places like that, like Aruba. Aruba is like, I mean, you could just pull out an orange in Aruba and throw it on the floor, and I
Same thing
mean,
in Puerto Rico.
50 iguanas will come out of nowhere.
And DR, Dominican Republic, also has a lot.
Yeah,
of
and the thing is, it's like that in Florida right now.
Yeah,
They just did, and then the ones the ones there's all in the Everglades and the swamps and all that. They're just living, and sooner or later they might come towards the city. They're just everywhere. Like they're killing thousands of them a week, and there's still hundreds of thousands of them left. You know what I mean?
When I left South Florida, which would be 8 years in this March, they're doing guided tours now for iguana hunts with air rifles.
Air, and that guy with like the Draghar that he uses to just hop in there and grab them. They had like
there's that guy, and then there's probably like 3 or 4. Honestly, if you look on YouTube, there's that guy who's jumping in the water on some crazy shit, whatever. And then there's probably about 3 or 4 different channels where they're hunting them with the pellet guns.
Oh yeah,
one where it's like his wife. There's one channel where it's like a wife and a husband. There's another channel where it's just like 2 guys. Another channel where it's just like 1 guy. And there's so many out there where they're just, and like he said earlier, that some of them are using dogs too. But if you think about it, yeah, a Patterdale would be great for that type of stuff. Just as far as just to keeping a smaller dog, and you know what I mean, because these guys some of them got like bigger dogs where it's like same amount of food you're feeding that big dog, you could feed 3-4 Patterdales. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, then it goes back to the breed of the Patterdale being like the earth dog, to where you wanted the dog to go underground, but I mean, I know how hard it is to get the damn dog out of the ground. So yeah. I think when people are really, once guys or women buy the dog and then they put it in the hole and then they realize this is a lot of work, they're not going to be digging. They're going to be hunting above ground, Yeah.
I mean, you're right about that. And like I said, I could see why Patterdale would be good for snatching up iguanas, and all that. But at the end of the day, yeah, I'd rather keep them as earth dogs and, make sure they're going in holes and doing what they're supposed to do. Again, right. They're terriers. They're going to be good at things you give them to do. You know what I mean? They're going to be great. If you want to snatch up iguanas, I'm positive they're going to be great at that too. It's not, you know what I mean? I'm not sure. I'm positive they're going to be great at too, especially when they're just laying across the grass. You know what I mean? But me personally, Live Your Life Dogs, New England Patterdale Terrier Club, we want working earth dogs.
That's what I'm talking about. That's it.
That's what we want. We want, dogs that are going in the ground, and we're gonna focus on keeping them working and keeping them doing what they were bred for.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple. You know what I mean? This is what they were bred for. It's not some people consider it gruesome, but it's also gruesome to wake up on your farm and coons or groundhogs and eat $10,000 worth of crops.
Oh yeah.
So you know what I mean? That's how the world works. And as far as what we do is the Patterdale helps out with that. Because again, we go to farms and people who got land and stuff like that. And even if you don't have a land, I mean, even if you don't have a farm, even if you got land, there's several things that rodents or coons or groundhogs, rabbits, even rabbits can do to mess up what you going on at your house or you're in your backyard. You know what I mean? You don't have to have a farm to grow vegetables, but all the animals we just named will eat your vegetables. You know what I mean? So
right. What about that dog you got from are you planning on doing the breeding as well, or
with her?
Yeah.
I mean, I've maybe in like the future, but it's not like, I mean, that's not my goal really. I'm right now. Right now, honestly, I'm just trying to hunt. And like I said, within the next, within the next probably 6 months, I'll probably get another Patterdale and just go from there. I might breed later on down the road, but it's not really. It's not something that's like, oh, that's what I'm. It's not really written down in the books right now, I should say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm more of, I would rather have the dog, work the dog. When I did that breeding, because I never done it before, it was a pain in the ass. It was basically, it almost got me out of it because I couldn't get rid of the dogs. I thought I was going to be able to, maybe sell them at that beginning, and then I realized, you know what? They're free. Let me just get rid of them, and I kind of changed my whole perspective of like, all right, I'm not here to like make money on the dogs. I really want to hunt the dogs. Kind of got the idea of what breeding is. Breeding sucks to me. You got to deal with all the shit, all the freaking food, and then once them dogs get about 8 weeks to 10 weeks, if you ain't got homes, they all going to start making their own home and start fighting each other.
Yeah. I've currently had a litter of 9 pups. When I was we was actually talking about it, how the dogs will break out of a just a regular cage, and I had a female, and the male smelt it, my pit bulls, and yeah, she got pregnant, whatever, and she had 9 puppies. I got rid of them all. And some of them I did give away, but I wasn't planning on it. But you're right. It's like by the, they get a certain age where it's like, it's just.
You got to have a plan.
5 cleanups a day of shit. And
yeah. It's not for the weak. I can tell you that. You got to know what you're doing and how you're doing it. I mean, I know next time, because also I'm going to need a breed to keep my working stock. Kind of do it that way, right?
Yeah.
And I won't breed unless I have people telling me that they're guaranteed to have, like, I'll have 50 people saying, all right, because the first 5 are going to sell you out. They're going to want the puppy. And then they're going to say, oh, no, something came up. I need to go fix my VCR. I got to go with money or whatever it is, And and then you get these promises, and then the promises are broken. So I found out real quick that dog man talk sometimes don't mean like, hey man, we really trying to get a dog. It's just a lot of talk. And then you get stuck with all these dogs, and then you got the wife on you. It's not for the weak,
Not at all.
What is it? Tear it, destroy it. Farmer looks at it, snagging booze.
What the hell kind of post is that?
Dang.
I'm hoping we don't see that person in Buffalo.
That's funny.
It's funny.
Cheers to that one.
Right, nothing to do with this what we got going on here, but I mean, it's funny.
Needed cow. That's quite off. That's pretty funny. But yeah, that breeding, man, that was a buster for me. But we got past that. So who you guys interviewing next week? You guys need to get Mason and Teddy and Broadhurst, get some of these old folks up on here.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna. I mean, we're definitely working to get more people in here for sure. You know what I mean? For sure, we got some things lined up. We just gotta, you just gotta lock it in.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's locked in yet, but
yeah,
we're definitely gonna keep the interviews going. Definitely gonna keep what interview or not. We're definitely gonna keep the Wednesday night live going, because again, we could always just copy and paste the link in the chat, and others can join. We're gonna also have those nights or days where others can join, and we're just gonna have fun with it.
Yeah, that's freaking pretty cool.
Yeah.
When was the first
fun with it?
When was your first one that you all did? Was this like last year? or did you guys just started it this year?
I think it was last year. Potentially.
Yeah, because I mean it's only
February. So
it's only February. So yeah, the first couple ones we did was last year, and then things got a little busy. He was busy, I was busy, so we kind of paused for a minute, but now we're back on, and we'll be doing this every Wednesday, and everyone just got to tune in and lock in, and again, we're just gonna learn from each other and have fun with it.
That's awesome. That's freaking awesome. Hell yeah, man. That's guys doing a great job. I think kind of like being like the new guy. I wish I was the first one, because I always like being the first one, as everybody else wants to be. But it's going to be interesting to see, like, a year from now. I bet you people are going to be like, hey, you need to interview me, you need it, so that's where you guys are going to be at, I guarantee you. So you guys just keep on doing y'all, and you guys people are going to be like, hey, I want to be next, rather than reaching out. You'd be kind of like the Joe Rogan of the dog world, like,
cool. Works for us, right?
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
But I mean, you'll be there with us. Like, again, try to make this all one big family. So you'll be there with us, and we'll make it happen. And we'll just keep pushing and make this bigger. I want to thank you for coming through.
Thanks for having
fun with us, talking to Patterdale with us. We've been on here for a couple hours. That's always appreciated, much appreciated.
Yeah, it's great having you on, man. We appreciate you, and
I appreciate
talking for sure. We
right on. Yeah,
for sure.
Good deal.
Yeah, we're gonna end this tonight. Thanks for everyone who came through the chat.
Cheers to you guys.
Like, comment, and subscribe, please. Like, comment, and subscribe, please. Marshall, we'll talk. Billy, we'll talk. Everyone have a good night. Get some rest. Be safe out there.
See you.
Yes.
Right on.
Patterdale Terrier love. Have a good night.
Dogman, blessings, bud.
Blessings. Thank you again for coming through. Blessings.
Nah, no worries. You in there, girl? Yes, you are.